Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexi Outs here is Friday, and it's the Friday Freakout. And I'm freaking out about DeMar DeRozan and that interview that he just did recently on the Run Your Race uh, podcast. Just over 2 hours of talk with DeMar, and man, he's so candid and open and talking so loosely. It made me realize that there's something about DeRozan that's dying out in the NBA. I mean, this is something we've kind of realized for a while. He spoke about it a lot as far as, guys in the league don't play for the same reasons as they did 25 years ago. It's just a different NBA. The makeup of the mentality of players that make it to the NBA is just not the same. In some ways, it's given, not earned. That's the whole thing with our championship. Earn, not given, right? That's the way the NBA should be. You have to earn things, but there's so much of a giving culture towards young prospects from such an early age that in some ways these young guys are coddled. And it's not good for the future in some ways. If you could be a throwback like Kobe Bryant, like Michael Jordan, like Larry Bird, you may have a leg up in today's NBA, partly because there's a lot of imposters. There's a lot of people in this league that are not doing this league for the right reason. DeMar's been one of the most outspoken people about this in recent years. In some ways, the survival of the mid-range jumper is symbolic of this. Kobe Bryant, his bread and butter was off of mid-range in certain ways. And DeMar DeRozan staunchly, defiantly keeps the mid-range alive in today's game in certain ways. And there are others that are like him that keep the mid-range still going in certain ways. But the mid-range is just a symbol of going against the new trends and saying, no, this is an important part of the history, the heritage of this game. And even if coaches are telling us not to shoot these and analytics and all this bullshit, we're going to still do it. So I was inspired because some of the things that DeMar said on Run Your Race podcast, things like, his journey, how he got there. I've got some quotes from DeMar that I want to read that are going to formulate this thing I want to create today called the DeRozan Code. The DeRozan Code is a way that I would recommend most young players trying to make the NBA should try and follow. Because if you follow the DeRozan Code, I think that you'll get further in your career and you'll be more successful. I feel like if you really want to be like SGA and be the MVP and be on your way towards a probable NBA championship, you better follow the DeRozan Code. Because in some ways, the DeRozan Code will get you separated from other people. Now, some people say, well, DeRozan didn't even win a championship, Lex. How you can say that? Well, yeah, but that's how hard this league is. You could do the DeRozan Code like DeRozan has, and you still don't win. But it will definitely help you have the best chance. And if not win a championship, well, somehow, some way hit the top 25 all-time scorers in the history of the NBA and get over 25,000 points scored in the NBA. There's a reason why DeMar has got that and that consistency and this longevity in this league and how he's done it and stayed hungry. And that's part of the DeRozan Code. Right there. It's part of it. The first thing that's the most important thing about the DeRozan Code is loyalty. Loyalty and not taking the easy route. This man stayed in Compton to go to high school, and he could have gone to some highfalutin, fancy high school, something like where IQ went over in the other coast. He could have gone to a private high school that's very high tuition and got it paid for because of his basketball talent. But he didn't. He was loyal to his neighborhood back home, even to the detriment of himself. That's crazy. In some ways, it's like, what are you doing, bro? Why wouldn't you go somewhere else, man, and take care of this? He's like, no, man, I'm loyal to my city, Compton, and I want to represent Compton High School when I play in high school. That's pretty cool. And then another symbol of him being loyal is rejecting UNC when they wouldn't take Lil Romeo with him when they were trying to come up from high school into college. He said, well, if you won't take my partner, my buddy, I'm saying no. And he eventually came back and went to USC with his buddy, Lil Romeo. They took him there and he stayed at home. Once again, being loyal. And he's even said stuff like, I could have gone to UCLA, but everybody goes to UCLA. And I feel like it'd be different to go to USC and do things at USC. It's like there's so much of a code in him and loyalty. And I think it is partly from where he's from, that the code of the gangs of LA in some ways are a lifestyle and a code that is like, if you don't follow it, you could die. In some ways, you have to respect the history of the blue and the red in that city and everything that has to do with it on both sides. Like DeMar said, in his family, he had people on both sides that died, uncles on both the Bloods and the Crips that went down. And that's just, I'm saying, loyalty is something embedded in the culture of the street gangs of LA. And in some ways, if he didn't get involved in the street gangs, well, he definitely got the culture and maybe some of the feelings of it all around him embedded in him. And that particular one, loyalty, is one of them. And this is crazy because the loyalty that DeMar has it is for Compton for sure. It's for his friends. It's for his family. It's for people like Kyle Lowry. But then when he got drafted to the Raptors and he came here, and, he says in this podcast, he knew he was going to get drafted by us. And it was totally like they promised him, they drafted him, they did. And that showed follow through on the first initial promises. I mean, if the Raptors had been stupid at that time, Brian Colangelo, and lied to DeMar DeRozan and did not draft him at the 9th pick in that year of the draft, that would have been the worst first step that they ever made in their entire history of the whole franchise in some ways. Because DeMar brought the culture here and made part of what has happened with us totally happen. Because that's the thing, man. He didn't want to go the easy route. He never did. If he did, he wouldn't have wanted to go to Compton High. He wouldn't have wanted to go to USC. He would have gone to UNC or Florida State or something like that. But nah, he went to USC, and that's not the most prestigious. And coming to Toronto, that's not the easiest route into the NBA, but he was all about it. They showed love to him, and he had a good workout, and they followed through with their promise to draft him. And if they hadn't, I think that I wouldn't want to see the history of the Raptors going past that, because it wouldn't have a 2019 championship in it. I would say that right now. And so he came up with no jacket, froze his ass off, learned some tough lessons as a young person, and grew as a man here in Toronto. But Toronto was the first place that gave him a chance in NBA. And he felt that loyalty towards our team and still does to this day in a deep, deep way. And even though he played 1 year with Chris Bosh, a franchise leader, a guy who led our team for years as the main player, and he took off after the end of his rookie year. And even DeMar talks about this on the Run Your Race podcast about how they were good. They were enjoying it. He was enjoying playing with Chris. He's like, he was good, man. He was real good. And then he got hurt on the stretch run towards the playoffs, and it derailed our season and totally screwed us up. And then Chris said, I'm going to South Beach with LeBron. And well, DeMar, what did he do? He is 1 year into the league. And he said, don't worry, Toronto. I got us. Don't worry. I am Toronto. I got us. I'm going to carry us. And at that time, he was just talking braggadocio. That was not any kind of concrete promise or any kind of for sure fulfillment kind of thing. That was just him in some ways talking out of his ass. Seriously. But it wasn't, because of the DeRozan Code. The DeRozan Code is loyalty. And if you say you're going to do something, you do it. And that's what he did. He got us. And you know what? I'm serious. That culture that he set with that one comment is just as important to the Raptors history as fuck Brooklyn. It's very important. Don't worry, Toronto. I got us. He said that after 1 year, and he had not averaged double digits yet in this league, y'all. Seriously. His rookie year, he came in, he was slightly used, and he was a bit player, and he wasn't there yet. He wasn't anything. His first couple of years were kind of they weren't there yet. But he was already saying that. That's crazy to me. In some ways, that's powerful. In some ways, that was him in an organization that had been slighted and mismanaged and had problems for a long time. He was making a vision for the organization along with himself. And that's powerful, man. And he stayed true to his promise. And he was in for the long haul with us. And he built the culture. And he built the team up through the playoffs with his partner, Kyle Lowry. And he gave respect to the Toronto Raptors, the city of Toronto, the country of Canada, in the NBA world. That it lacked that for most of the existence of the Raptors up to that point, the 15 years or so. And you can directly give credit to DeMar and Masai Ujiri for building respect on the Raptors name, because he said he was going to be Toronto, and he did, and he went and he did that, and he built us up. In some ways, you don't get to the point in 2019 with what Kyle and DeMar built with Masai and Dwayne Casey in the middle of the 2010s. So the DeRozan Code's about loyalty, and it's about aiming high and going and getting it. Because seriously, when DeMar said that, it wasn't really talked about that much. It was talked about up here. But in hindsight, when you think about it, man, that was a very ballsy claim to say, I got us. Don't worry, Toronto, I got us. Just because Chris left, don't mean we're in trouble. DeMar's got us. And he did. He did. And he took us to way more successful places than Bosch ever did. And, man, I love that part of the DeRozan Code, the loyalty factor. The loyalty factor is embedded in his children. DeMar DeRozan, so loyal to her father that she will railroad a game after he was hurt by our team. In some ways, we were not showing the same energy of loyalty towards DeMar DeRozan as he showed to us. And in some ways, we look bad for it. We did. Masai looked bad for it. And the crazy thing is, as much as DeMar was hurt, as much as his world was turned upside down, as much as he felt betrayed, as much as he felt horrified at the idea of not playing for Toronto all of a sudden, he turned around and turned the other cheek over time. He healed, and he went on another part of the DeRozan Code, and that is the inward journey. Yeah, it's important to look at yourself and take stock and try and improve yourself, not only on the basketball court, but as a human being. That DeMar DeRozan is like putting that hand out for everybody to try and help them up and get somewhere mental health wise. And that's another crazy thing. It's like he's a humanitarian for his work on speaking about mental health and writing his book and being so open and honest about his story. He gives so much to the world for that. But there's a certain thing about it. It's about striving for self-improvement at all levels and all ways, whether it's on the court with his game and working harder and harder to play better and score better, whether it is with his mind and figuring out how to improve his mind so that it's not turning on him, so that he can get through the depression, so that he can find happiness in the moment, in presence. And man, he's just a badass at that. So it's like there's a journey. You can't stay still. You can't stay in your one place. You have to continue to progress and become the better version of you every day is part of the DeRozan Code. That there's too many guys coming in the league today. They get their bag and they sit on it and they're happy and they're not progressing anymore. So if you really want to be a follower of the DeRozan Code, you better be coming back with a new trick every year and doing things more improved and trying harder and harder every single year in the league. You can't, you think that even at this point when he's like 17 years in the league, that he's not trying harder this off season before he comes back next year to improve himself in some sort of way? Because every single year, DeMar has improved himself at least some level. Sure, maybe later on it's not very visible because you see he's such a high level player. It's hard to discern the improvements from the year before because he's already at such a high level. But that is something is in the DeRozan Code. You do never rest on your laurels and say, "Oh, I'm good now. I'm exactly who I'm supposed to be in this league, Ben Simmons." No, you don't do that shit. And that's something that's very important for the young players that are coming up to follow if they want to be successful in the NBA. And if you want to follow the DeRozan Code that I'm talking right now. I'm just saying, man, I'm just saying. Yeah, let me read some quotes from DeMar that are online right now that will tell you everything you need to know about the DeRozan Code. DeMar DeRozan quote: "A lot of people in the NBA don't even take the game serious or take the same approach that I do." This is true. DeMar DeRozan would frustrate the hell out of me in his early Raptors career sometimes because DeMar DeRozan liked to take the basketball to the hoop against 2 or 3 defenders. And I'm like, bro, why do you do this, man? Why can't you pass out? Or why can you try not to go towards 2 defenders? Why can't you try and go to another part of the court away from them? And he's been very vocal about this. He's like, I want to make the shots harder on me. In the beginning, in the early stages of his career, when he was doing all that, I was like, this is unnecessary. He's not playing the best he could because he's making poor decisions by taking the ball directly to a group of defenders instead of just one guy. It's like, why is he doing this? Because he wanted to make it harder on himself. And you know what? He became a better player over time because he made it so hard. He figured this: if I can beat 2 or 3 defenders on me at once, I'll be good. You know, it may not look good right now, and I may be failing more often than success on it. But when I finally get it, and I'm able to beat 2 or 3 defenders on me, well, look out, NBA. That's the harder route. In some ways, that was a route. That was me as a spectator looking at the whole situation and say, DeMar, why don't you go the easier route, man? But DeMar's like, nah, man, I go the hard route. I'm on the DeRozan Code. I'm going on the hard route. I'm like, why? Why can't you shoot threes, bro? I don't want to shoot threes. He said this on the Run Your Game, Run Your Race podcast this week too. He said that they told me one year it came in. The Raptors said, we want you to shoot more threes. And he was pissed. He didn't like that. He's like, he's such a staunch stand for the mid-range that he's like, I was kind of mad at the Raptors for asking me to do threes. So I was being a little shit and I was ignoring them and not doing them just to be a little dick and jerk towards the team. The team asked him to do it. And he's like, I don't want to do it. Why would he do that? Why is he so loyal to just a shot? Or maybe he's just loyal to himself and his self-identity as far as like, I don't need to rely on the 3-point shot. That's not what my game is. But y'all are trying to force things on my game. You know, I remember these years very well, watching these games and wondered why DeMar doesn't shoot more threes and the whole conversation around that time about DeMar and his 3-point shooting. And then that year he didn't do it. He disdained it. He kind of put it off. But the next year he came around and he came back with it. And that was the whole thing about the DeRozan Code is you improve yourself every offseason. And well, he heard the order up that somebody wanted to order of him shooting 3-pointers more. And he listened and he went and got better and he came back and he was a better 3-point shooter after that. But in some ways it was like, it's on my own schedule. It's on my own time. I hear y'all. I'll think about it. And, you know, maybe I'll get to it kind of thing. But, you know, it's such an interesting thing to me. The early part of DeMar's career when he was offensively making it so much harder on himself. I really didn't understand at the time because I was used to, you know, in the NBA, you want to go find the easier shot, the highest percentage shot. And he was going and finding some of the hardest shots and some of the lowest percentage shots. And that's not an analytics kind of like approach to winning basketball. It really, really isn't. And thank God analytics wasn't so prevalent like it is today, you know, back then about 10 years ago, 10 or 12 years ago. So it's an interesting thing that he went the hard route. Everybody's like, why are you doing this? But in some ways, he had the wisdom within it all to understand that if he went the hard route and he did it that way, he would be so much better for it. And that's the message right there. It's like, don't go the easy route. You got to go through the hard route. This is what he's saying. Stuff like, here's another DeRozan quote. I'm no stranger to pain. It's what made me. It's what made me. It's true. When he came in the league, that's something. You don't take away your emotions. You don't take away your person as a human being. You live through those emotions. You live through them and you deal with them. DeMar's had to deal with a lot of different pain in different places, losing loved ones from gang violence, losing loved ones like his father, losing you know, all kinds of different things, like playing for the Raptors. And in some ways, the pain he used was to funnel to his game. The greatest players in this league play for a very deep, top, crazy reason to compete at the highest level. Michael Jordan would take any slight. and he would use it as locker room fodder, bulletin board messages that made him pissed off. And he came out and he came at people. If anybody even slightly said something in the press that was derogatory to Michael Jordan, well, they felt his wrath, Nick Anderson. Yeah, they felt his wrath. And Kobe, there's a thing called Mamba mentality. And it's psycho. It's a psycho thing. It's a crazy ass thing where if you're going to be like Kobe, well, you better be ready to come in certain ways and do certain things in a certain way. Mamba mentality is embedded in the DeRozan Code because as a young person in California, DeMar was getting access to Kobe very, very young. And I think that's part of why the DeRozan Code exists in the mentality of what he thinks is because Mamba mentality was a very early influence on DeMar DeRozan when he got the privilege to hang around Kobe Bryant as a teenager, a guy who wasn't even in high school yet. DeMar DeRozan knew Kobe already, being a local youth in the LA market. And that really shaped him. In some ways, he was lucky to be around Kobe Bryant and Corey Maggette and other people from around his community that could really shape him and show him that this is what matters in the NBA in the right ways. And I think Kobe, in some ways, is one of the biggest influences on DeMar, of course. And partly the Mamba mentality is a huge part of what's embedded in the DeRozan Code. That, if you don't want to just settle for being a player, you don't want to just be average, you want to be the very damn best. And that is what we're talking about today in DeRozan Code. We're talking about loyalty. We're talking about being the very best. We're talking about testing yourself through the hardest route to get to where you're trying to go, and that is the DeRozan Code. And if you want to be in the NBA, young players that are coming up right now, these guys are about to get drafted next month. You better follow the DeRozan Code if you want to be up to the highest levels that you can achieve. It has to do with Mamba mentality. It has to do with airness, wanting to be the greatest. I'm just saying. It's just saying, man. Let's see. I'm going to read some more of his quotes because, man, some of these just really exemplify the DeRozan Code. And these are quotes directly from DeMar DeRozan, man. Let's see. I stay standoffish in a sense in my own personal space to be able to cope with whatever it is you've got to cope with. There's a lot of being human in the DeRozan Code and recognizing that you're a human being, you need to recharge and also accept yourself for all your pain and your suffering and also all your happiness and your joy. And you have to count your blessings and learn from your lessons and just go forward and hold your head high, even through all the controversy, sadness, depression, and crazy things that happen in your life, the things that you cannot control. And that's part of the DeRozan Code, is to be resilient, to be able to adapt to change as it happens, because change happens whether we like it or not. And you are going to have to deal with it one way or another, either way. So it's either you face it head on or you put it on layaway and deal with it for decades in small ways that it holds you back. And that's the thing. In some ways, he has to be real about himself about this thing. It's like, people ask me, why would you want to be like DeMar DeRozan? He hasn't won a championship. Why would you not want to be like DeMar DeRozan? He's respected by his peers. He competes at the highest level. He had a streak of game winners with the Chicago Bulls at a certain point. And that is the culmination of some of his greatest work as being a clutch player, as being that guy who went at 2 or 3 defenders like I was talking about just now. I'm saying, why wouldn't you want? I think that most young players, if they're coming up, would love to have the career DeMar has had, even if there's no championship. The people that misjudge DeMar DeRozan are the ones who overimportance the championship. Sure, the championship is a great way to gauge winning and who you are in the league's history, but not in all cases. And you can say that to Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, John Stockton, Reggie Miller, Patrick Ewing. You can say that to a lot of names over the history of the NBA that never won a championship and are absolutely icons and important players that excelled and succeeded in their careers. Larry O'Brien isn't the end-all be-all. It is a symbol of excellence, but you can have excellence separate from it in your personal resume. And that's what I say about DeMar DeRozan right now with that, man. That's what I say right there, man. But yeah. And DeMar had a quote like this. I'm sure there's a long list of one-time All-Stars, and I don't want to be on it. That's right. It's that kind of stuff, man. It's that kind of stuff. Let's see. He's very much about like looking out for everybody, and he's like an equality kind of guy. He says stuff. I don't care what shape, form, ethnicity, nothing. I treat everybody the same. There you go. I think it's such a humility kind of thing that he's shown in the way he's turned the other cheek over the years with the Raptors. Because seriously, he could have been bitter and hateful towards the Raptors for his whole rest of his life. But even on the night we won the championship, he was calling all of his old friends that were still on the team, like Freddie and Kyle, and congratulating them. He wasn't that bitter and cold that he had to turn his back on it. No, he wanted to embrace them and congratulate them, even though it pained him at the same time that he wasn't one of them in that locker room getting champagne dumped on their heads. That in some ways was the very early healing part. And that's part of like being a better person, is healing yourself from your pain. And the fact that, I guess we've won 6 years ago. The fact that he's kind of come around on, things with the Raptors within, like, it didn't take him that long, honestly. It took him about probably 2 or 3 years. Maybe part of it was being lucky and landing with Pop in San Antonio, and Greg Popovich being such a humanitarian as a coach. He really helped him through that really tough time. It's almost like Greg wasn't just a head coach at that time. He was like a shrink for DeMar. And, maybe some of the answers for going through it were from Coach Pop. A lot of it was found by DeMar just soul searching and thinking for himself and figuring it out himself. But some guidance was there and his awareness. He's also cited Jim Carrey as far as a huge influence on him getting through depression and seeing how to deal with it. I'm just saying, there's a weaker man in this world would have held a grudge against the Toronto Raptors for decades and decades, and maybe for the rest of their life. But in some ways, DeMar DeRozan, a part of the DeRozan Code, is showing strength and forgiveness. He forgave Masai. He forgave the Toronto Raptors for trading him the year before a championship came here. We didn't know at that time. We were hoping. Masai's master plan, it worked and it happened. But, for that kind of thing, it's like you do all the work for the group project, and then the group kicks you out at the last second, and they go get an A+, and you're in another group all of a sudden, and they only got a C on their project. And it's like, what the hell is this? I did all the work for that group over there, and they're getting the grade, and now I'm on this other group, and I just showed up here, and we're in a bad place, and we're just barely in the playoffs. That would make a lot more other people completely jaded in versus against that place. In fact, that may make somebody say, I hate Canada. I hate Toronto. Why did this happen to me? This was wrong. But a bigger man, a guy who understands the whole picture of it, as far as this is my legacy. This is a huge chapter of my life that was in Toronto before this. This is where I got married. This is where I had kids. This is where I had this is where I had my life, where I grew and matured as an adult. That's a wisdom that's beyond anger. That's a wisdom that is like, I can't live with this and have pain and hate towards this happening for the rest of my life, because that's only going to make me feel bad. And that's going to be like me eating my own poison. So he did the work, and he figured it out mentally to be able to forgive the Raptors and Masai Ujiri. And in some ways, that's part of the DeRozan Code. I think that the duality of DeRozan being so hard-nosed and so tough that he would go and play for Compton High School and put himself at risk from gang warfare, making him a statistic, it shows that this man is willing to put a lot on the line for what he believes in. But then that's a toughness, and the toughness of going through 2 or 3 defenders. But then on the other side, you've got this sensitive person who's very, very considerate, and also very, very humanitarian. It's such a weird duality. In some ways, Kobe's probably got a softer side that people that were in his private circle knew, but a lot of his teammates didn't. Michael Jordan, in some ways, he is an asshole. Let's just put it that way. And this side of DeMar is not necessarily in those other 2 guys in the same way, at least not publicly. That's for sure. So that is a part of the DeRozan code. You can be a warrior and a guy who's out there to strive to achieve, but you can also be a humanitarian and also be given to the world and not being so competitive that you're an asshole that you wouldn't want to try and help somebody if they're in a bad place. And that's, man, it's such a deep thing. And the DeRozan code is evolving in my mind right now. It just was a light bulb that went off 2 days ago. And I really want to make this a thing because I feel like the NBA needs the DeRozan code. That the young players that are coming up and learning to play and trying to get in the NBA, they need to understand the story of DeMar DeRozan and why he is the way he is and the makeup of who he is, and maybe even try and mimic him or try and be like him for his code of ethics. And that is being loyal. That is not going the easy route and working hard and never settling and sitting on your laurels and just saying, I am done. I'm a finished product. Because even on the court, DeMar DeRozan will never, ever be a finished product. Every single summer, he can go out there and add another dimension to his game. Maybe flesh it out just a little bit more, even in his career 15 years in. Even at that point. And there's too many guys that are resting on the laurels and saying that they have figured it out and they're there. You know, there's a lot to the DeRozan code. Y'all have any kind of questions you want to talk about the DeRozan code? I want to manifest this thing into being a real thing. We're going to talk about this, and I want this to go somewhere. Just like the Mamba mentality is something. Mamba mentality is something that is related to this. It's a little bit different because it has a mental health aspect to it, and it has a loyalty aspect to it that is just it's second to none. DeMar DeRozan is maybe one of the most loyal people I've ever seen in my entire life because his loyalty goes beyond his own pain. And that is deep and special, man. That is deep and special. He said right here, another quote, I came up different. I took a different route. I want to lead my own path. There you go. The DeRozan code, a half hour on the DeRozan code. There's your intro right there, man. I hope y'all like it. I think that in some ways, if you guys like what I'm talking about, go and perpetuate it and bring this up. Let's say something. Let's bring up the code. Let's call it DeRozan code. And we can even make it a shorthand for a certain type of player. And we can make it a certain kind of thing. It's like saying, oh, you know, like this player in the draft's coming up, man. I feel like he might have DeRozan code. Or if there's somebody in the league who's failing at it, we say, man, that guy's not DeRozan code. I'm just saying, I feel like it's a good shorthand to say something about a player's character and drive in today's world, because this is the thing that DeMar's standing on right now. And he's very open about it. And in some ways, the NBA is probably not totally happy with him, saying that half the guys in this league are not playing the game for the right way. So that's where the difference is between the DeRozan code and those other guys. They're the guys that DeMar's saying, yeah, you ain't doing it right. You ain't doing it right. And I'm sure he's had them on his teams. He's had teammates on different teams that he's been on, maybe even the Raptors, where he's been like, yeah, this guy is not DeRozan code. He wouldn't say that himself, but he'd say, this guy's not doing it the way I respect. So there you go. There you go. What do y'all think of the DeRozan code? I just visualized and created in the last couple of days, and I feel like it is something tangible that we can understand. And in some ways, if you get the idea of what it means, it's a shorthand for a lot of things all at once. So I like it. I like it. I think it has legs, and we'll have to see if we can get this embedded somewhere, somehow in Raptors culture, like the nickname Trebuchet and other things that we've been successful with in the past. So yeah, Trevor J's first in today. Thank you, Commissioner J. Most people mess up something good by looking for something better just to end up with something worse. Yeah, it's crazy. You know, you could be in a really good situation, but it's been like kind of same for a while, but it's stable. It's consistent. And then you get kind of in a weird place where you're like, oh, what if I could get better? The grass is green on the other side. And then you screw up what you had for a mirage, for something that wasn't even as good as you thought, but you thought it was something good and you messed it all up. That's not good to do. Tell me right now. Yeah, Trevor, thank you for your words of wisdom. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. In fact, I think more often the grass is just the same green as where you already are, if not less green. So in some ways, I would say when you start fantasizing about another thing other than what you got, and it can destroy what you've already got, you may need to really have caution moving forward. Let's just put it that way before you do anything stupid. Let's just say, yeah. Trevor's saying the Knicks fans very happy they beat Indiana. How have Pacers have to win Game 6 and avoid Game 7? I agree with this. I agree with this. The Knicks came out and they're playing for their lives. And you got to think about this. Jalen Brunson has carried the Knicks in clutch moments a lot this season and playoffs. And that's what he does. In some ways, this game last night was like the fourth quarter when Brunson has to carry them, except it's a game in a series that's just like it's crunch time for the whole entire game. He's the clutch performer of the year, some other bullshit award or whatever. Well, this is the clutch performance game where he has to step up and do really, really well. And the Pacers, in some ways, were not playing well, shooting, and they were behind. And, certain contribute what they normally do. And the Knicks just, they got it going and they made it happen and they won this game now, but they still have to win 2 more. This is going to be very difficult. The next game to me is a must win for Indiana because all the momentum in the world will be shifting towards the Knicks if they won 2 in a row, especially the next one in Indiana. And then they have to go to a Game 7 in New York. That's not what Rick Carlisle wants. This game is a game of adjustments. Tom Thibodeau made some adjustments. And Rick Carlisle's got to make some now next. And that'll happen next. Because Siakam, that whole thing with Siakam after the game is so stupid, man. That reporter for the Indy Star is their equivalent of Michael Grange. Yeah. But I love Siakam saying, like, who the hell are you, man? Did y'all hear that clip? Siakam after the game getting asked by Indiana Star's Greg Doyle, why did you guys lose? What happened? What happened? Why did you guys lose or something like that? He said they played harder than us. He's like, well, why did they play harder than you? I was like, I don't know. Why don't you tell me? But who the hell are you? Who are you, bro? He's like, I'm Greg Doyle, Indy Star. He's like, that's the game. It's basketball, man. It's just how it is, right? It's basketball. Hello. Siakam, I'm 100% with you, man. I mean, these are dumb questions. Yeah, this is the kind of shit that Grange would do to our guys here. This Doyle guy is the equivalent down there. I've heard that Doyle has been barred from the Indiana Fever because of improper questioning towards Caitlin Clark. So this guy's a real piece of work, this guy who went at Siakam after the game last night. So, yeah, good. Keep being you, Siakam. And, yeah, I like that you were feisty with him and you told him off, man, to an extent. I mean, it's a dumb question. It is a dumb question. What do you mean? It's basketball. These are things that happen in basketball. Some nights the one team plays harder and they beat them. And the other nights you play harder and you beat them. I don't know why this is so hard to figure out, Greg Doyle. I mean, seriously, it speaks to your own idiocy and stupidity that you gotta figure this out. How do I write about NBA? I don't know how to write about NBA. I am stupid. I don't understand. I don't get why you asked that question. And that's why Siakam's giving you that answer. Bill Gaines, Mad Magazine, snappy answers to stupid questions. Because you bring a stupid question in here, you're going to get a snappy answer, just like Mad Magazine would give you in the old magazines. Yeah, you come in with that dumb stuff. Well, Jack Armstrong said, get that garbage out of here with your dumbass question, Greg Doyle. Yeah, it's stupid, man. And people are like, I don't know what people would come at Siakam for that. I mean, he was the second leading scorer on the team last night after Ben Mathurin. So he was trying to do his part of doing things. The other guys were the other guys that didn't do jack shit. So it's like, come on. Siakam was at least got 15 points. He's like trying. So it's like, I don't know what was going on with the rest of them. They were anemic and they were not showing up and doing it right. I don't know. Ref manipulation. Maybe the NBA was like, man, we can't have New York go suicidal after losing on their home court and being out of the playoffs the way this season has gone already. I mean, if this is some convoluted script writing now, after such a great untouched playoff race where there's been very, very unpredictable games, and all of a sudden now to shape the finals, they're going to try and railroad the Pacers out by helping the Knicks win in 7. I mean, that would be some bullshit. And we'll have to watch very closely on Saturday night when they go back to Indianapolis and see who the ref crew is and see if there is any kind of Scott Foster extender manipulation bullshit. I would say this, Rick Carlisle, you better come on Saturday right and just get the job done. Seriously. In some ways, y'all have done this in this playoffs. You've had games where you should have lost, but you won on the road and you beat the odds. And I say you got to do it again. And don't play with your food. You need to put them out. Trevor's exactly right. If you do not beat the Knicks on Saturday, guys are in big trouble. I'm telling you right now, because that means all the swing of momentum is on New York's side. And you don't want that. They already got a little bit of a good feeling like that, but your home court should help you on Saturday, hopefully, and you just need to close that door. You just need to close it. Siakam, smart. Reporters like, what happened? Why did they played harder? They beat us. They played harder than us. This is basketball. You compete. Some nights you have the harder playing team and you win. Some nights you don't. And that's what happened. So it's like, Greg Doyle, hello. Do you need to go back to some elementary school or something like that just to learn basic understanding of things? I mean, I don't get this. Why stupid questions get snappy answers is what I'm saying right now. Stupid questions get snappy answers. That's right. Monique is here. The super fan. Monique Lawrence is here. We're 8 days away from her birthday party, which is going to be on the 7th, June 7th at the NBA restaurant. We're having a get-together Raptor Freak hangout. Giants of Africa will be there. I will be there, and Monique will be there, and some more of the Raptor Freak crew will be there too. I open invite. If you want to come to the NBA restaurant, Queens Key, 5:30 p.m. on Saturday the 7th, come down and meet us and enjoy the festivities. Birthday cake and nice food and camaraderie and conversation. And I'll bring the classic card box down. So if anybody wants to take some classic NBA cards for free from the classic card box, it'll be there. It's just a good time. If you haven't been in the NBA restaurant, it's a great venue. It's a very, very nice, professional, polished, bona fide NBA restaurant. The only one, the first one in the league. I don't know if they built any more since, but we're the first ever NBA restaurant themed restaurant in the whole entire league here in Toronto. And we love you, Monique, and we're looking forward to your birthday a week from tomorrow. So yeah, let's get down there. Mo saying, good morning, Raptor Freak crew. Great, great, great interview. I know. Mo, doesn't it seem like every summer now we're getting an amazing DeMar DeRozan interview where he just goes a little bit even further? It's like he's developing his game every summer and coming back with a new bag of tricks. But he's also developing his podcast game because he's getting more loose and comfortable in it. And I think that last year doing the media scrum for his book, Above the Noise, really got him more media savvy in certain ways. And I feel like he's so much more at ease in the interview settings at this point. In some ways, he's so cool because he laid it all out there about who he is, that he has nothing to hide, and he's just the damn truth. So some people go into interviews and they're a little apprehensive, like, I don't want to say something that'll mess me up or be making me look bad. He's put it all out there. He's unabashedly, unapologetically DeMar DeRozan. And he's not scared anymore. He'll just come in and let his guard down and say whatever the hell he wants to say. And I love that. I love that. In some ways, I love this interview too, Mo. It's so good, man, with DeMar from every angle of his career. Glad I shared it in the group. Shout out Theo, the host. Yeah. Theo played in the NBA slightly, not really. But yeah, it's a great interview. And he had a really good one last year too. Wasn't he on like the Old Man and the Three or something like that with JJ? He's done a couple of really, really good podcasts in the last couple of years. And every single time he talks, the crazy thing is, it's like he's written a book. He's done all these different interviews. And every single time he comes in, he has new fire stories to tell that we didn't hear before. Like he gives us a little details on, old Raptors stuff like Chris Bosh and Kyle Lowry. And, talking about things like how he saw things with the NBA All-Star Weekend with Toronto. He did come out and say that was the coldest day of his life in this interview. And in some ways, I'm like, that's fair because that day was so damn cold. And I don't even understand that, seriously. If they were controlling the weather, why did they turn the cold so far down? Were they really trying to sully Canada and Toronto and really make that stereotype stick when the NBA came to our city in 2016? Yeah, it's funny to hear DeMar, such a loyal guy. In some ways, you give him a pass. And sometimes when people say, oh, Canada's so cold, that's fair as far as the All-Star Weekend. That was the coldest day of DeMar DeRozan's life. I believe it. I don't remember it that well because I was on a plane flying out, and I was in Atlanta. Because I was lucky I escaped the cold on that weekend. In some ways, I wish I'd been around NBA All-Star Weekend in Toronto, but I had to go visit family at that time. So I wasn't there. Exactly. But yeah, great interview. And thank you for sharing it. Trevor's saying WNBA game yesterday. Chicago Sky finally won a game against the Dallas Wings. And the Liberty beat the Valkyries. I'm not surprised about the Liberty being the Valkyries. That's the championship team versus the expansion team. That makes total sense. But I am surprised to hear the Sky finally figured it out and got their first W of the year. I was very smart and astute, and I went and got Kia Nurse of TSN before the game and put her in. And because she finally woke up the last 2 games and started hitting her shot a little bit better. So Kia, keep going. I want you to play better. Seriously, you've had a rough start to the season. The Chicago Sky have had a rough start to the season. And Kia Nurse, I'm rooting for you. Let's go Canada. And come on, let's start making more of those threes. And, I know the chemistry on your team is a little screwed up right now, but you got to make the best of it, It'd be interesting to hear Kia Nurse talk about her current situation with the Chicago Sky. I'm so used to her being on the Raptors broadcast, talking about the Raptors and things like that. And her playing career is interesting to me as it's coinciding with her broadcasting career at the same time. That's not always normal, but that's the WNBA. And that's being an NBA analyst and a WNBA player. So that's pretty cool. I'm glad Kia got it going. Yeah, Mike, you better put your lineup in, Logical Raptors Fanatic. I'm going to mop the floor with you in this WNBA fantasy. You don't start playing your players, Mike, Logical Raptors Fanatic. That's right. James is saying, Lex, which NBA podcasts are worth listening to? That Run Your Race is really good. Honestly, I've seen a couple of their episodes now, and they're really good. I really do like, all right, this is the one Bryce is saying right here. The Out the Mud one with Mark Gasol recently was fantastic. Zach Randolph and Tony Allen. It's not really the podcasts that draw me in, James. It's more the guests. Like, I could watch any of those podcasts. I think Old Man and the Three was very good with JJ on it. I thought that he did a good job on that show. Draymond's can be okay. It's just that Draymond likes to use his show to take pot shots at people. And like, I don't like that. Like, he's had Siakam and Van Vliet on his show at times, and he tries to take pot shots at our championship indirectly. And Draymond is an idiot, but like I said, to me, it's not about the show. It's about who's on it. I'll watch it if there's a person I care about. I'm not going to just blankly watch Run Your Race or Out the Mud or All the Smoke, which is another good one. Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. That's a fantastic podcast. Seriously, that may be the best one, honestly. Barnes and Jackson, that one, because those guys are so loose and they're so connected to the game as far as players, as far as their history, and they're not that far from playing that they have a certain level of credibility in what they do on that show, and they go about it in a non-trashy way. They're very respectful, and they have a realistic view of the world, unlike Gilbert Arenas. So, I would say All the Smoke is fantastic. Run Your Race, Out the Mud, those kind of shows are fantastic. I mean, I love Inside the Green Room when Danny Green was doing his. Of course, Hustle Play was fantastic when we had Chris doing his, which is too bad it's not happening anymore. So, Vince Carter's got a good podcast. You could watch the Vince Carter show on his podcast. He's doing a good job over there. So yeah, there's a lot of them out there, James. But for me personally, it's about who the guest is. I'll watch any episode of anything as long as they're bona fide, as long as it's a person. It's Jake's Takes. I'll watch some Jake's Takes podcast with Gary Trent Jr. and Darko Rajakovic. Oh yeah. Yeah. So it's really the guest. The guest has to interest me. And, but I will say Barnes and Jackson may be the best at what they're doing right now. It's definitely not Paul George or Gilbert Arenas. None of that shit. And nothing with like anybody like Paul Pierce or anything like that. No, sir. That's right. Bryce has got it. Out the Mud's good. Like, I like them because, Zach Randolph's an interesting person to me. Tony Allen is a bona fide badass because, like, in some ways, the fact that he has gotten so many accolades for being a defensive player in the age that he played really does say a lot. And the immense respect that all of his teammates had for TA, like when they played with him, like Mark and Zach and them. Yeah, I think that's a great one too, man, for sure. Good morning to you, Bryce. Good to see you, man. Good morning to you, Kaz. Good morning to the crew. That's right. Let's go and let's talk for a couple hours on Friday morning. Friday Freakout. DeMar DeRozan Code. Do y'all understand the code of DeRozan? I was trying to lay it out for you guys. Don't take the easy route. Don't rest on your laurels and stay loyal. That's right. Stay loyal. That's right. Kaz saying Club 520 podcast with Jeff Teague is another good one. He's hilarious in my opinion. Yeah, I don't like that one either. In some ways, that one with Gilbert, I'm like, they're trashy. And some of it is, all right, maybe it's just real talk and the way they're acting and they're being real, but their personalities rub me the wrong way. I know Jeff Teague is funny, but half of what Jeff Teague does is put himself down. That's all he's doing on that show. In some ways, he's like the butt of the joke. He's like the Conan O'Brien of NBA podcasts. He's like, yeah, I would play this guy back in the day, but I was never too good enough, and I lost. And oh yeah, that guy used to kill me all the time. Oh my gosh, nightmares. Half the time I feel like he's talking himself down on the show, and that's humble, I guess, in some ways, but also at the same time, I'm like, Jeff, come on, man, you're not selling yourself right. You're not selling yourself right, and also he's got some wild, stupid takes too. I'm just gonna say that. I've heard Jeff Teague say some stupid ass shit on his podcast too. So I kind of put him in the category with Gilbert. But if you find it entertaining and you think he's funny as hell, watch the hell out of him. That's what I'm saying, man. It's a free country, free world. Yeah, Mo doesn't like Draymond. She thinks that Draymond's the worst podcast host ever. And I agree. In some ways, I agree with her. Partly because he puts his own bullshit narratives of what he wants in his podcast. It's like, it's not about just listening to the guest and letting them have their platform to talk. He's going to interject his own opinions on things and try and like shape the conversation that way. And he carries this over to when he does broadcasts for TNT and on when he's on panels. I can't stand him when he does that either, because he's not a fair and unbiased journalist. You put him on a panel with Shaq and Barkley, like he's been on recently. That man is still actively playing. That man has active grudges. That man is actively, like, in some ways, possibly utilizing the platform of being on TV as a talking head to enhance himself for different things on the court. That's in some ways why I feel like there's collusion in some ways. Some current players should not be doing broadcasting, because in some ways, in subtle, weird-ass ways, they can cause ripples and waves that benefit them, but they could also hurt them too. They could hurt themselves and shoot themselves in the foot. But there are ways that they could benefit themselves, not just by getting financially compensated because they're getting paid for a job, but by saying certain things and shaping opinions and possibly deriding players or teams in their position of broadcast. So in some ways, I don't agree with the NBA allowing current players to be on the broadcast team like they have Draymond for years now. I've always hated it. I think I have more of a problem with him being on the broadcast team than his podcast, for me personally. But I agree, he's horrible. And part of it is because his own ego is where he talks from all the time. It doesn't matter what he's doing, it's his ego's talking that way. Guys like Up the Smoke, All the Smoke, those guys check their egos at the door. Those guys check their egos at the door, and they're very good hosts, and they put this attention and spotlight on the guest. And Draymond will bring the attention back on himself too often, is what I say on that. That's what I say on that. Yeah, Danny Green was made for podcasting. Yeah, he went to broadcasting school, so he's a communication major. He has similar studies that I had in university, and that's why he's naturally going to be great at media, and he's going to get more and more jobs in the future. Trust me. He's going to get more and more jobs. He's well-spoken. He's professional. He knows exactly what he's talking about. And his resume is really nice with the 3 championships he's got. So, yeah, he's a bona fide one, man. Yeah. Yeah, Kaz is saying Gilbert Arenas is close, Mo. Yeah, Gilbert is really bad. Like, I may even say Gilbert's worse than Draymond. But Draymond pisses me off more because of the aspect of him being on the broadcast teams. Like, I thought it was really trashy when, I just don't like Draymond sitting in those booths with people. And like I said, Bob Myers, same thing. Even though he's not a player and he's not even involved in the Warriors, he's absolutely biased towards Golden State. And he will, I don't like that. I want my journalists to be old school, like we are not showing bias and I'm just reporting, and I'm coming centrally to report everybody equally. But when you put people that are agents from certain entities, they're obviously going to push their product that they used to be associated with and try and get it more on the forefront in a positive way. And that's why I hate Bob Myers doing broadcasting. That motherfucker shouldn't be anywhere near the microphone. Fuck you, you cocky ass son of a bitch. And Draymond Green, same thing, man. You're a current player playing in this league for Golden State. And you, in some ways, you're given too much power by having the microphone in front of you on their broadcasts. Seriously, I do not want to see Draymond Green become the next Charles Barkley. Once again, he is not Charles Barkley. We don't like him like we like Charles. And if the NBA is trying to groom a succession plan of Barkley retires and Draymond Green becomes the new Charles Barkley, fuck that. I reject it. And I know many other people will reject it just like me. Because first of all, Draymond Green does not have the likability of Charles Barkley. That's just the damn truth. That's just the damn truth. Fiercely saying, good morning, fam, and happy Friday. That's right. There you go. There you go. Happy Friday. And Kaz is saying, one of my players in my WNBA fantasy gave me negative points last night. You know how that happens? It's because turnovers -2. And if you have a really bad game, you don't make any points and you get a lot of turnovers, well, you might get a minus. Yeah, that can happen in this league. Isn't that crazy, Trucker Kaz? So you might want to think about dropping that player, or maybe if it's just a one really bad game, that's why it happened, you'd be fine with it. But yeah, don't overreact to it, but pay attention just in case it's a trend with that particular player. I had a game like this with one of my players the other day. Jade Melbourne came out for the Mystics, and she's been a great success story so far this season. She's been fantastic. She came out from nowhere, and she's been a waiver wire diamond in the rough that I've absolutely been. It's been a big part of why I'm number one in our league, is because I've been finding the waiver wire finds before they blow up, and Jade Melbourne was one of them. And she came out in the game earlier this week, and she immediately turned the ball over twice. And she had like a -4 on my score sheet for a while. But she got more minutes later, and she got some points. And she made up the difference and did have a positive net by the end. But yeah, this can happen, Kaz. Just so y'all know, that's why you want efficient players. You do get penalized for turnovers in our WNBA fantasy league. That's right. That's right. Blackhawks saying Pacers will win game 6. Guarantee. You guarantee it? All right. I hope you're right. I have a lot of faith in Rick Carlisle as a coach, his adjustments. And, you know, there's an article on ESPN breaking down this series and saying why the Knicks are doomed. And it's so true. The egalitarianism of the Indiana Pacers offense is a huge strength because it's hard to figure out where they're going to go and what they're going to do. Some people have said that the Pacers have no weaknesses and that the Knicks, their way of doing things has to run through Brunson. That's just mandatory. And in some ways, that's so predictable and easier to scheme for than what the Pacers are throwing at the Knicks. And this is one of the biggest keys to the series, along with the depth of using a deeper rotation than the Knicks. These are the two main keys of this. So basically the article says the Knicks live and die with Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson came out and played clutch and got them the game last night. So they live. But when he doesn't do well, or the Pacers are able to really mess up Jalen Brunson, they're done. They lose. It's crazy because there's stats out that show that Cat hurts the Knicks from this series. There's times when they've taken Anthony Towns out of the game and the Knicks performed way, way better, especially on defense. So there's some interesting ammunition there. And I would say this, since we're going to normalize this term, Cat doesn't have the DeRozan code. Cat does not have the DeRozan code. Now, I'd say Jalen Brunson has the DeRozan code, but Karl Anthony Towns does not have the DeRozan code. And that's going to be shorthand for saying something now because I'm creating this today. That's right. There you go. There you go. Most saying DeMar even has a tattoo that says loyalty on his arm. Yeah, it's right there. Blue City. Yeah, loyalty to Blue City. And his colors are blue. Yeah, DeMar's awesome, man. He's so awesome. It's kind of weird because, like, look, another duality to DeMar is he's a very caring, sweet person, like I said, but he's a very scary person too. Don't fuck with him. Like that guy who came up to him in that restaurant recently in that viral clip, and he like hit the phone out of his hand and said, "Get the fuck away from me. What are you doing coming up to me on that with that camera in my face?" Seriously, that dude is still from the streets. And, you know, the stories I read in the Above the Noise book are people tried him and he beat the shit out of them because he was always one of the biggest kids. So, you know, that's always a nice thing when you have somebody who's very dangerous, but they're such a kind and loyal and benevolent person that looks out for the little guy and other people. That's that's his code in some ways. That's part of the DeRozan code. Be strong, be dangerous. Don't fuck with me. But you know what? I'm also soft side and I can be there for people and be really caring and sensitive towards them too. The tough guy that's also sensitive at the same time. People forget this man is like 6'7", 6'8". And he's very, very strong and muscular. He can hurt people. but he's a lover more than a fighter. But if he has to be a fighter, he will fuck somebody up. That's what I say right now. Yeah, Kaz is saying DeMar is such a real one. That's what I'm saying. If you want to be a real one, if you want to be the truth, you can be an imposter, Ben Simmons. You can be a lazy ass Zion Williamson. But if you want to be the truth, if you want to be more in line to be a face in the league, like SGA, well, you got to have the DeRozan code, just like SGA does. In some ways, it's consistency. It's putting in that work. Consistency is a big word I'm going to be using in the next couple of days. Consistency is what has gotten SGA in his life. That may be the most important word in his whole entire life is consistency. Well, DeMar DeRozan, the DeRozan code is about consistency too. It's consistency in going and working and continue to work your whole entire life and just trying to improve and getting better every single day. And that's the thing right there. And there are people that have that consistency. They're excelling to the highest levels of the NBA playoffs right now. And their names are Gilgeous-Alexander, Siakam. Those guys have this kind of consistency. And we're going to touch on this again on Sunday when we do the evolution of Pascal Siakam Sunday report, 9:30 a.m. It's a very important key to the evolution of Pascal Siakam. And it's something that DeMar DeRozan probably taught him to a degree when Siakam got drafted to the Raptors and DeMar was still a vet on the team and he was around him. Kawhi Leonard, these are all people that had an influence on that. That's right. That's right. Fiercey saying, ask Koloko about the grass looking greener on the other side. Yeah, I'm salty. Yeah, I don't know why Koloko did that. I think he did that as a favor to Rich Paul, but he did it as an unfavor to himself. You did that as a favor to Rich Paul and LeBron James and go to Lakers like that, Koloko. Well, where are you now? And where would you have been if you were still here around Masai Ujiri? You'll never know, man. I think that there's a pattern here. Players stop leaving Toronto to go to LA because when you do, you make a fatal career mistake. And you could say that to Kawhi. You could say that to Christian Koloko. It's like, that's a cautionary tale right there. There's some cautionary tales we're learning. Well, maybe the grass is not even in LA because it's a desert and it's urban and there ain't no green grass over there. And man, I'll tell you, the grass in my yard is vibrant, lush, like a beautiful natural carpet of beautiful blades of grass in my yard. Oh, it's so green here in Toronto. And I don't know, they got droughts out in LA. So I think specifically this is true in reality, Fiercey. The grass is definitely not greener in LA because they have water shortages. That's right. Water shortages of development. That's right. Bryce is saying, is Castleton still on the roster? Yes, sir, he is. Yes, sir, he is. We forget about Colin Castleton. It's like, man, we are looking at centers so much for the draft right now, but he's like, holy crap, wait a second. We got Colin Castleton on our team. He's not on guarantee, but he is with the team. He was at the Leafs playoff game 2 weeks ago with AJ Lawson, Jamal Shed, Jacoby Walter, Jamison Battle. All of them were all there. Ulrich, he was there too. All of them in the same luxury box with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and a couple of the Toronto FC players. So it's like, yeah, he's in the fold. He's been in Toronto for most of this last month, putting in work at OVO with them young rookies and putting in the time and ensconcing himself more and more in Raptors culture and identity. Hopefully he does really well at Summer League, which he will be there, Bryce. I'm going to tell you right now, Castleton will be playing for us in Vegas. I'm pretty sure. And hopefully he does really well in training camp and he gets a bona fide roster position because he's going to be one of those guys on that list in the fall that I'm going to be analyzing whether they're going to make the team or not because he's no guarantee. So he's in the fold. He's got good promise. He's got time served already with us, so he has some good orientation already. So let's see if he's got the DeRozan code, and he's going to go and put the work and show the stuff and come back and say, I want to stake a claim on a permanent roster position for the rest of this year with the Toronto Raptors. So yes, Bryce, he is still here, and he is under the fold with us. That's right. That's right. Kaz saying, same as MJ, he can stay over there in L.A. with Bron. Same with MJ? What are you talking about, MJ? Who are you talking about? Which MJ? Michael Jordan? What are you talking about? Michael Jordan. He never went to LA. No, he didn't. That man went to Washington. Fiercely said, I feel my daughter is not mature enough to really grasp the DeRozan code, but I'll pin the stream to show her at a later point. You know what you could do? Why don't you get her his book? Get her his book. Seriously, there's ways you can implement DeMar DeRozan, his mentality in her life in certain ways. I mean, it may be Fiercey, you just kind of relate stories about how DeMar would do things to her. And maybe by proxy, somehow, some way, you can get him to be a real huge influence in her and her mentality of developing herself as a basketball player. I'm telling you, it's a way to go. He has all the stuff right there in him and his example for young players to follow, to be better. And in some ways, his journey is hard, really, really hard, through gang territories and coming to a foreign country that he never actually left Compton ever. Like, it's funny in that podcast this week, Run Your Game. He's saying that he had his phone number here, he had all his bills paid here, and then all of a sudden he had to just up and go to Toronto, and it was such a flip on his life. Everything flipped then. And he had only been in Compton. Like, think about it. He didn't go away for high school. He didn't really go away for college either. And so it was really kind of like Toronto coming to the Raptors and getting drafted by us was like his normally the young person's college experience. Oh, I'm going off to college. No, he stayed in LA. He could drive from his house to USC to do all the stuff he was doing there. So it wasn't like he was away when he's in college. It wasn't until he got drafted by the Raptors, came to Canada, that he got that feel of like, I'm going off to college away from my life. So it's interesting. I there's all kinds of strategies you can implement to try and get her influenced by this. I say get the Above the Noise book and let her read it is a good start. That's a good start, because in some ways he'll illuminate all kinds of stuff for her that are great life skills, not just the mentality of how to be a top level basketball player, but also how to live your life happier. And that's a great Venn diagram to put towards Fiercey Jr. and her journey as a young basketball player. Yeah, Infamous saying, salute freaks. That reporter sounded like a degenerate that probably bet on the game. All right, I see this morning that Hello and Welcome dropped an interview with a guy who's writing an article for Toronto Life on Jontay Porter. I listened to it before. It's pretty interesting. A lot of it I had already heard and knew it, because honestly, this is the crazy thing. This Toronto Life guy did all his own research. Well, I did all the research he did like a year ago. So almost everything he said on that Hello and Welcome podcast with William Liu, I already knew, because I went and looked at all of it. And you know what? We actually covered all this shit on this channel already too. So you guys can go listen to this interview with William Liu. There's a couple of extra little add-ons about the Jontay Porter scandal. But once again, and I was in the middle of it. We were in those chat rooms where Jontay was with those people, with people like Tom, Porter family friend. And it's so crazy. He would say stupid shit like, Jontay's such a financial genius. The one part of the interview that was new to me was the fact about how he evolved into sports betting as far as being a crypto bro, like that bullshit. I mean, Jontay's an idiot, man. He's absolutely an idiot. But this guy who's writing the article with Toronto Life has so sympathy for him. Bullshit. Fuck that, bro. Fuck that. You should not have any sympathy for Jontay. He made his own bed, even if it's an addiction problem that led him to it. Listen, that's the culture of this bullshit. And I think it's so fucking stupid that they're whining and crying. Like, this is what the dude said from Toronto Life. In some ways, it's so tragic that a young man that's 24 who has a family with a baby on the way can't do the only profession he knows how to do. Bullshit, motherfucker. He knows how to do other shit. That's what got him in this trouble. That he wanted to be a wannabe financial genius whiz. So don't tell me Jontay Porter doesn't have a backup plan in his life. That motherfucker's a financial genius. So why the fuck does he even need basketball? He made that choice and went down that path when he made those poor decisions of being a financial genius. So don't give me this crap. Jontay has nothing else he can do in his life because he's only prepared for basketball. Bullshit. That motherfucker can do other things. So don't give me this crap. And the audacity of him trying to go play in Greece just because a Greek team offered him a contract. Motherfucker, you just committed a cardinal sin in the NBA. You're a felon and you cannot leave the country. What? Because you're famous, you get special treatment? No, I do not feel an ounce of sympathy for him, especially since his family's a bunch of degenerates. They're making mistakes all over the place. So yeah, the one part of that interview I liked was William Liu and this is author guy from Toronto Life speculating whether this is going to be a continuing problem, which it is, because being in bed with the sports betting sites, NBA and other sports all over the place is really a bad idea. And that more of this kind of bullshit is just going to happen. Don't tell me it's not. Don't say that it won't, because I know this shit will. And in some ways, y'all are walking a tightrope of endangering the integrity of y'all sports every single time you allow FanDuel and these other fucking DraftKings bullshit being involved in your sports. That's why I don't agree with legalized gambling right now. You should have left it to the criminals and let the criminals do it. When you legalize it and you normalize it, well, you cause all kinds of social problems and you really, really infect the integrity of the games going forward for all the sports involved. And you know what? The point on the show was exactly right. Maybe not in the professional levels because they have more to lose as far as money. But those kids that are in college, they will do shit like scandals that happened, point shaving scandals back in the days. They're going to do shit like that. Kids that aren't on not NILs that can have a position to affect things. There's going to be more of this. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. And William Liu and this guy from Toronto Life admit it in that interview. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. And in some ways, Adam Silver, you're an idiot for even opening this door during your tenure as the NBA commissioner. I get it. All the other sports opened up for business for on this forefront and bullshit. Doesn't mean it's right. Corporate capitalism is the ruin of this whole entire world, and everything is good. That is just the damn truth right now. And it's all for this. All for this. And you know what, Jonte Porter, you're just a casualty of this, bud. But the funny thing is, you made God money your God. You made God money your God, and now you got a prison cell for it. That's what I'm saying, man. You get greedy, and you think you can cheat the system, and you think you do this and that. Although, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if this fuckface who's in the White House pardons Jonte Porter all of a sudden, out of the blue, just for the hell of it, because he's doing this crazy shit right now like that. Seriously, I was like, I'd like to pardon Jonte Porter for gambling on the NBA. I don't think it was a bad thing what he did. And you know what? We don't have any rules or laws anymore because I'm a criminal. I'm a felon in the White House, and we live in criminal world now. And Jonte Porter, you're free. I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden I saw a news clip in the next week or so, Jonte Porter freed, pardoned by Donald Trump. Seriously, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. All right, let's keep going. Wayne said that was, he only said bet on the game, and that's where it went. It's because this interview came out this morning. And like I said, most of it I already knew. I went and did all the research, the same damn research that Toronto Life guy did. Because he said he wouldn't try to interview everybody. Nobody would talk to him. The Raptors didn't talk to him, and the Porter family wouldn't talk to him either. That's right. That's right. Wayne saying, morning, Raptor freaks. Half of the participants in any industry are incompetents. Plumbers, cops, doctors, nurses, NBA players. Shout out to all the DeMars and their industries who call out half-assers. I love this. Wayne Strainer has expanded the idea of the DeRozan Code from the NBA to all professions. And he's right. You know, there's a lot of dog fuckers out there. They're just going through the motions, earning their check and showing up to work, but they don't actually do their job correctly or care about doing their job correctly. In some ways, in some ways, if they're in certain positions and they're not getting paid fine, I would agree with them doing that. I would. But if you're in the NBA, you're making a certain amount of money and you're so public, well, I don't agree with it then. But if you're like I don't know, a plumber, or not a plumber, because you're usually working for yourself. But yeah, if you're certain positions and you're getting exploited by a corporate boss or corporation that you work for, I don't mind you being a dog fucker and not being following the DeRozan Code because they're probably getting compensated in the same kind of way. You get what you pay for is what you say to people. That's right. But I mean, I won't judge everybody. There's going to be superstars in all fields, and they should get their just desserts and get compensated correctly is what I would say. So I like this. I'm going to give Wayne a dunk. He's applying the DeRozan Code to all facets of life and occupations. And I think it's very valid. And I like that he did it. So Wayne, you're getting a dunk, man. In some ways, y'all can apply the DeRozan Code to areas of your own life. Maybe not at work, but maybe at work. But I would say, think about it and analyze it. And maybe you got it. 39 dunk points for Wayne on that. I like that. I like that. Let's see. Kaz is saying yes to Bryce about Castleton is still on the Raptors right now, which is an awesome thing. We love that. Kaz saying they signed him back after a stint with the Lakers. Yeah, he got signed to a non-guaranteed contract near the end of the season. And yeah, he came back. He didn't play for us at the end of the season. He played one game near the end of the season, remember? He came back and he played like one game right at the end of the season after playing the 2 10-day contracts before Cole Schweider. Colin played for 2 10-day contracts, 20 days. And then Cole came in for 2 10-day contracts for 20 days. And then when Cole was done, they actually signed Colin on that weekend we were in Texas against Dallas and San Antonio. And Colin ended up playing in the last game of the season against the Spurs right at the end of the season. So, yeah, he was on our team the last game of the year. That's right. Let's see. Bryce is saying, Lex, do you still have an Excel sheet of the roster? I don't do one of those like currently right now. Like I'll do that when we get in training camp and I see all the people that are on the list for who could get cut and who's in already. And I'll have that organized probably for you around like the beginning of September, in the middle of September, around there. So yeah, I mean, we kind of know who's in the mix right now officially for the team right now. If you have any questions about specific guys, I can tell you for sure. I mean, it's pretty much who you think it is. It's not anything weird. Cole's out, Orlando's out, unfortunately. And we're going to talk about Orlando tomorrow, guys. We're going to do a Saturday Share the Love Club for Orlando Robinson tomorrow because I want to give him his just due for what he did for the Raptors this season. He was a thankless guy who in some ways needs to get love from Raptors Nation. And I want to come around and give that love to Orlando Robinson. Share the Love Club tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. I hope you'll join me for that, man. Bryce is saying, okay, I remember that now. That's right. Yeah, Colin's still in the fold. He's still with us. Smooth saying Klay Thompson and Draymond Green are not humble people. They act as though a chip is in their right. Yeah, they're annoying, man. They are annoying. They were encouraged by all the success of the Warriors to be assholes. They probably were just slightly assholes before, but then when they won multiple championships behind Steph Curry, on Steph Curry's backs, they became little assholes and kind of cocky shitheads. And, the funny thing is the guy who's most responsible for those championships, Steph Curry, is one of the most humble guys in the world. And he's not like those two, which is crazy. So, yeah, you don't have to be like Draymond and Klay. You could be like Steph. Yeah, those guys are assholes. I don't like either one of those two guys. I really don't. DeMar talked about Klay a little bit. They brought up on the Run Your Race podcast this week the Olympic teams and USA teams that DeMar was on. He was on the U.S. Olympic team in Rio with Kyle Lowry and other people, and they were going over that team, and they were kind of trying to analyze whether that team was better or the FIBA World Cup team that he played on also. In some ways, the roster for that FIBA World Cup team I thought was better than Rio. Seriously. Because you had some crazy legends on top of that. But DeMar, he said they were different, but he preferred Rio. He preferred the Rio team. And he's also lamented, why don't they talk about our Rio team more? Because they won. They won the gold, right? And everybody talks about the dream team, the redeem team, this team, last year's team. But they don't ever bring up the Rio Olympic team with Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan in the middle of it, as far as great Olympic gold teams for USA. And in some ways, they need to put that more on blast. They need to put that in 2000. I think they were 2016. Was that Olympics? Yeah, that was a really good year for DeMar. Olympics and the All-Star here in Toronto. That's right. That's right. Trevor J. saying Charles Barkley said to Towns last night's interview after the game, why you make such stupid fouls? That's hilarious. Charles said that to his face. That's hilarious. What did Carl say? He's like, man, I want to ask you, Carl, why you make such stupid fouls? And I can't believe he said that to him. Oh, man, that's hilarious. That is why they win Emmys. I'm telling you right there. He called them out. That's right. There's some DeRozan code in Charles Barkley. Not all of it, though. He was lazy and he ate a lot. That's right. Wayne saying that statement about Towns is because you don't watch the game, Lex. That stat you quoted is like the worst AI. Towns plays has been great for the Knicks. He gets Turner into foul trouble and shoots three. That's not what I've been hearing. And listen, this is not me. This is an ESPN article. This is being put out there as the narrative. And this is a entity that's very fair to the Knicks. In fact, they kiss the Knicks' ass all over the place. But this particular article, and it's Kevin Pelton, I believe, he's saying that there was stats in this series with Indiana that they do way better than when Towns is on the court. Like it's the plus minus in certain ways. Part of it is they've figured out that when Brunson and Towns play together, it's not good on that for them on defense. That basically Indiana's egalitarian offense, which has so many different ways they could go, because all five of the guys who start for the Pacers can put the ball in the basket in different ways. And that was part of Nesmith hitting all those threes in that fourth quarter in that one crucial game earlier in the series, is that they know how to position things on their offense that they can exploit the pair of Brunson and Towns being on the court together. And that's what his point was, that Karl doesn't do certain things on defense correctly, and the Pacers and Rick Carlisle figured out, and that's how they've been doing things. In some ways, their offense is like the Raptors, the Pacers, because they have an equal opportunity for everybody on the court to score, and they're going to the place where the defense is the weakest, and they're using the mismatch against them. And all too often, the victims of the mismatch, Wayne Strainer, is Karl Anthony Towns. And that's not me saying that. That is ESPN reporting that. That's not my opinion. That's not from me watching it. I am just reporting to you what I have read on ESPN in an article. And I know you could say I didn't watch the game and stuff like that, but that makes sense to me, knowing the history of Karl Anthony Towns on Minnesota, and also the fact that, Jalen Brunson has particular defensive liabilities also. And that is part of the reason why New York will never be successful in some ways, is because in the same article, they don't just blame Towns. They say that any team that's built around Jalen Brunson is doomed to fail and will not win championships. Because the nature of Jalen Brunson, the way he plays, is so centered around him that you live and die with him. And how the hell you go ride one man through 16 wins of the NBA playoffs and wear his ass out when you wore his ass out all season already? I'm just saying, the article was very indicting of both those two guys as being the weak links on the defense. And if you have both of them out there at the same time, we know the weak link ain't OG. We know the weak link ain't Mikal Bridges. Those two guys are the reason why, partly, that the Indiana Pacers have found their offense easily in certain instances in this series. That's all I'm saying. And it's not me saying it. It's the ESPN writer, Kevin Pelton, that has written this and said this. And it's not AI. It's not AI either. That's actually the writer in some ways. I could give you the link if you want to read this article. It's about all four teams that were in the playoffs. It actually predicts that the Thunder will win the championship, but it talks about how the Pacers have been beating the Knicks, and they wanted to analyze it and let you know. And that's what they came up with right there. I love you, Wayne. And I love the discourse, even if it's contentious. I do love it. I love it. Randolph saying, beloved Raptor Freaks, most informative gang, blessings. Oh, no, man, nothing but to love them. I love that. I love that. That's awesome. God's love is carried around in our hearts and is limitless. Keep on loving no matter what. In a world that's trying to stoke hate, in a world that's trying to cause division, in a world where people are manipulating people's emotions in negative ways to get them to do things that are not right, the best action to go forward with is love, because love will win in the end. And love is for everybody. And love is in all of us to give each other. But there's a lot of people that are running on hate these days. And these, sadly, are people that are in power right now. And we need to take them down with love, because in the end, love will beat it. It's been proven in so many different places over the eras of time. And, in some ways, it was a key, crucial part of the civil rights movement. And in some ways, we need to get back to the basics of what was successful in the civil rights movement for getting traction and all kinds of things going in the right direction, because there are things that are happening right now where we need to take the lessons and the playbook from that era and utilize it again. And the best way to do it is to do things in solidarity and what's just and right in the essence of love. Because when you do it that way, in that kind of way, you are on the right side with Christ. And the other side is not. The side that is putting hate out and putting misery and putting pain and suffering on people is absolutely the evil side. And that's what I'm saying. To beat that other side, the best thing to beat it is love. Thank you, Randolph, for your words of wisdom. Blessings to Raptor Freak families and the Phillips family. That's right. Fiercely saying, great idea. Get her the book. That's right. Get her above the noise by DeMar DeRozan. That'll get her on the right path right there. And that opens a conversation that you can start having with her about things from the book. And hopefully, you got to sell her this way. I want you to be the best basketball player you can be, Fiercely Jr. I love you so much. I accept you for who you are, and I want you to excel, but I want to push you too. And I feel like if you read this book and you listen to what he has to say in it, whatever you can take from it, whatever stands out to you, Fiercely Jr., it's going to help you. And that's all you have to say. No pressure on her, Because in some ways it's good to have pressure on people, but it's also like, you got to watch out. Like the whole thing in Inbound in the documentary with Zach Edey's mom. That was hilarious. She's talking about, I was like, do I not pressure you enough, Zach? Because she's kind of like, I just like whatever he wants to do. You go ahead. You want to be a pitcher, Zach Edey? You go ahead, pitch. And he's like, Zach's kind of like, you know what? I kind of wanted to play baseball, but you know what? I found basketball, and I guess with my height, it makes more sense. I'm like, yeah, hello. And then the guy up in Canada is like, he just fell into our laps. I don't understand how he wasn't taken to the States by now already. And in some ways, like being able to have Zach Edey develop this time. So in some ways, Zach's mom started wondering to herself, am I pushing him hard enough? Like I'm being very kind and nice and kind of just like easygoing, but in like she had to have a very frank conversation with him about it. And he's kind of like, I mean, I guess you could be pushing me harder. I think that's hilarious because so many parents are now so driven to push their kids in an irresponsible, destructive way to be better at sports. And it's really not right. You can really hurt your child with, some of the actions some people do in this way. And especially with a guy like Zach, who's so tall, it's like they would have profiled him and like, man, I should push this guy to play basketball. But no, his mom's is like a beekeeper. And she's just like living her life. And she's like, you know what, do whatever you want, Zach. And it's like, I am 7'2", Mom. What should I do? I don't know. Do whatever you want. I'm beekeeping. And it's like, wait, Zach, maybe you should play basketball, bro. So I'm saying there's a balance, Fiercey. With Fiercey Salcera Jr., you might want to direct her and kind of give her some goals in certain ways, but you don't want to put so much pressure on her that it becomes very toxic like it does with some parents of athletes. You know what I'm saying? I know you have the right balance. Knowing your personality, you're probably really good at balancing this exactly. But, in some ways you want to prod her. You want to push her forward to try and be as best as she can be, also as a parent in some ways. It's very interesting. I love this, man. I love this. Kaz saying, when I said MJ, I was talking to Fiercey Lex. Sorry for the confusion. Yeah, MJ in my mind first is going to be Michael. No offense to Fiercey. It's just Fiercey first. Yeah, MJ shorthand for me is Michael Jordan. Yeah, the confusion, it's all good, Kaz. It's all good. I'm glad you clarified. Randolph saying, Lex, I just read this. Knicks fan paid online witch to cast a spell to ensure Game 5 win over Pacers. Let's break that spell by binding our faith together and render that which powerless in Game 6. I love this. Holy crap. Are we going into this whole spiritual realm of warriors? We got to be like the spiritual realm against witchcraft now? Holy crap, man. I need to knock on some wood. And yeah, in some ways, I was like, look, man, this is kind of crazy, man. I went to the dentist yesterday, and the dentist and her assistant like to talk when they're fixing my mouth, right? And one of the dentist assistant said, my mother-in-law has things following her. I'm like, what? I'm like, wait. She's like, she's touched. Like she sees things all the time. Since she was little, she has spirits like moving around her all the time. Now, this is a whole aspect of the world that humans don't really understand. And some people poo-poo it. It's like, do you believe in ghosts? Do you believe in this? I'm telling you, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's real in this whole world that is not totally real in the mainstream because they think it's just bullshit. I'm telling you, this stuff is in some ways. Now, I don't know the process or what happened or this witch stuff or whatever, but in some ways it only gets fed by belief is what I'm going to say. If you want to put power into what that person did in that ritual and then say, oh, that's why that happened, I'm not really going to do that. I think it's going to be a coincidence. And that, if you say that they did have an effect on the outcome of the game last night, you're empowering this person. And in some ways, I'm not going to do that. I think that this is just a coincidence. And in some ways, I mean, look, we can be light warriors and fight against it. Hopefully they got somebody on the Pacers side that will do this. I don't know if it's totally our responsibility, though, as Raptors Nation. In some ways, we kind of just got to let them duke it out, the Knicks and the Pacers, and it come as the outcome will come. You know what I'm saying? Isaac saying, happy Friday, beautiful people. Happy Friday to you, benevolent one. Holding it down in Ottawa, the capital. That's right. Hi, Isaac. Hi. Ottawa, stand up. Let's go. Represent. Let's go. Smooth saying, Jonte Porter has no one to blame but himself. No one to blame. That's right. Thank you for sharing that right before, Reggie. I did get enough time to watch it on double speed before I came on the air. In some ways, William Liu annoys the hell out of me. I'm just going to say that. William, stop talking about tanking like it's a viable choice. Seriously, you perpetuate this bullshit. You, Lewinberg, Leo Routens, Michael Grange, all you motherfuckers that talk about that tanking is a viable strategy in the NBA. It is not. Adam Silver doesn't want people to do this. And this past year taught us that tanking does not get you anywhere, and that people perpetuating it as a valuable option need to shut the fuck up. And even Williams talking about, like, with the Jonte scandal, is like, well, at that time, the Raptors were in a mode and they were playing Brooklyn and both teams were really bad. So they were really kind of in tanking mode. No, neither one wanting to win. Bullshit, motherfucker. Bullshit, motherfucker. Stop this, William Lou. Stop this bullshit saying, oh, tanking. This is tanking. Stop saying the fucking word. No, either you're not good enough and you lose, or you're trying your damn ass off and you win. And I'm just saying, man, we got to stop putting so much power and credence into this idea of tanking. It's one of the dumbest things in the world. Raptors fans that talk about tanking as a viable solution for things, you are idiots. You need to stop. Because listen, tanking didn't have any factor in this season at all. Not in the least for what the outcomes were with the draft lottery at the end of it. And that's what we told y'all. At January of this year, I have streams that you could go back and watch and say, tanking doesn't matter, y'all. The ping pong balls determine what happens. Tanking doesn't matter. You can tank. It doesn't matter. And everybody said, well, we would have had a couple more balls than Philadelphia or something like that. And they got the third pick. There's a counter argument, all this kind of bullshit, but it's bullshit. Because look, you could tank the hell out of your season like Washington and Utah, and you could see where they're drafting this year. So seriously, let's stop the tanking talk. And William Lou, shame on you. Since you have a nice following and you are a former credentialed press person on Sportsnet, you need to stop pushing this bullshit. And everybody needs to understand tanking is never a viable option. It shouldn't even be a thing. It didn't exist in the NBA back in the day. I don't know if youngsters understand this. You just had good and bad teams, and it wasn't about whether they were losing on purpose. There wasn't anything like that. Every single team played all 82 games to try and win as best as they could for the most part. And there was honor to this. This is part of the loser mentality of the NBA product and what's wrong with it. Half the players are not following the DeMar DeRozan code, and the journalists think tanking is a viable option. Just stop, William Lou. You pissed me off this morning. I'm learning about Jonte Porter bullshit, and you pissed me off because you're bringing in tanking narrative bullshit, too, into the whole conversation. So just stop. Seriously, you look bad when you do it. Because honestly, in some ways, to me, it makes you look stupid that you continue to talk about tanking culture or tanking as a strategy, because we know it doesn't work anymore. That shit has been outlawed by Adam Silver. And if you don't get that, you don't get that. You get penalized for it. They will punish you for tanking, Dallas Mavericks, and they will change the system so it's impossible for you to gain from it. And that's what's happened at this point. You can try and game the system by losing on purpose, but it won't work anymore. It's not a guarantee, and you'll look stupid and you'll hurt your team worse by tanking and losing on purpose, by building a culture of losers. And sometimes it's just hard to shake after you do that for a few years, Philadelphia. That's all I'm going to say about it. So every one of y'all bona fide journalists out there like Grange and Lewberg and Lou and Routens going to continue to talk about tanking. Y'all are idiots because y'all haven't got the memo. That shit is over and done with. Adam Silver don't like it, and he's outlawed it. I don't understand why y'all don't understand that. I really don't, because y'all are supposed to be, you're getting paid for your job, and you're supposed to be on top of NBA affairs, and y'all haven't figured this out yet. I have. I don't understand why y'all haven't. I'm just saying, man. Yeah, it's been saying no one to blame, just Jonte. That's right. Why are we supposed to feel sorry for him, Toronto Life? Oh, because he's a young man. He has his whole life ahead of him. Bullshit. You want to feel sorry for someone? Feel sorry for that man that got deported to El Salvador, and he shouldn't be there at all. Feel sorry for people that are ordinary people that you don't even know their names. They're about to lose their health insurance. Jonte Porter has a gilded life. He's going to be fine either way. I don't give a shit about Jonte Porter. That's what I say right there. There you go. Boom goes the dynamite. That's right. Let's see. Smith saying, hey, Edmonton's in the cup final. Go Oilers. So they took care of Dallas last night and finished the Western Conference Stanley Cup Finals, and they are in the last spot against Florida, right? So it's going to be a rematch of last year's Cup, And hopefully the other way can go this way this time, and we can bring that cup home to Canada. Because last year was so disappointing, so close. Stanley Cup coming back to Canada last year. We'll get it done this time, McDavid. And let's not fuck around, man. You got something you owe the Florida Panthers. So go do it, Edmonton. You've got a whole country behind you. You really, really do. That's right. Kaz saying Cat took it pretty well, to be honest. Well, what are you going to do? It's Charles Barkley. He's a legend. And even if he said something to him back, I mean, that's not the kind of news story you want, Cat. Because in some ways, listen, Charles is very popular. I'm sorry. Charles is very, very popular. And if you went at Charles right then and there in the interview, man, it's not going to be a good look for you. I'm just going to say that. Because in some ways, Charles is just himself. He's outspoken and he has no filter. And he's got that license. And in some ways, he's earned it. Unlike Draymond, I would say that. Unlike Draymond. Wayne's saying, oh, okay, if it's the series, yes, Towns is inconsistent. My comment is about last night. The series, yes, but because everyone gets less shots with Brunson on the floor, that analysis would be right. Well, to preface this, Wayne, and in fairness to you and us not seeing it from the same timeline, that article was written yesterday during the afternoon before that game happened. So it was purely only about the series leading up to it. And I will give you absolute credit that last night Towns was the second banana next to Brunson that helped them win last night. He had good production. He had a good game, and he helped stave off elimination. So, yeah, you're just a little more current than the article that I was quoting from. And that it was kind of an overhaul of the whole series up until the game last night. And think about it. He wrote that article in the morning yesterday thinking that maybe New York was going to get eliminated last night. And that's part of it. Wayne, awesome stuff. I love talking to you, man. Milbester's here. All right, this is important. Well, I want to hear what he's saying. Milbester's here. New York Nation is in here with us. We got Knicks fan in the house. You saw what Charles Barkley asked Towns during TNT postgame show when he sat with them. Towns was explaining to Barkley's question on why he does those dumb fouls and Pacers always make a run. Oh, that's so funny. I didn't see the clip myself, but I think that's hilarious, man. That's a Barkley moment for sure. Good morning, Lex. So Panthers and Oilers Stanley Cup rematch. I'm really happy for the Panthers, Lex. Winning the cup last year, despite really nearly blowing a 3-0 lead, it secured the franchise to stay. Man, you are in a bad place with us right here. We are at odds, Milbester. Nah, man, you can't be celebrating the Panthers being there. I get it. In some ways, that's the team you're going to root for. But we are in Canada, bro. And we're nationalistic for our country more than ever right now. And we are rooting for the Oilers on this channel. You go ahead and bring that Panther stuff in here. But I'm going to say, like Jack Armstrong said, get that garbage out of here, man. Get that garbage out of here. Not only that, man. Yeah, sure, your Knicks won last night. They held off elimination. So you're feeling pretty good today, aren't you? But, I would say I am not rooting for Florida or New York. Milbester saying, I know Canada NHL team has not won a Stanley Cup since 1993. Rub it in. But I'm really glad the Panthers are in this position as a franchise because there was rumors they were relocating out of Florida. Yeah, that's the most ironic, stupid thing about the NHL. They give Stanley Cups to markets that absolutely don't give a shit about the Stanley Cup half the time. Like, there are huge Lightning fans in Tampa Bay, and that has grown because of the winning. And that's the whole reason why this shit happens. Is Bettman wants to expand the popularity of the NHL in the southern United States. And, well, if they win, that's more likely to get people hooked. We've seen that with the Raptors. The Raptors win in 2019. They become a way more popular team across the whole country of Canada. And, well, if you want the team to be more come to the games and stuff like that, we'll make them winners and make it more exciting for people and positive for them to go root for the team because of that. You got to think about the Phoenix Coyotes. They did not last because in some ways they were not successful enough, and that market dried up in the middle of the desert of Phoenix. And that team went back to another place because of that. It went to another city. So it's that kind of stuff right there. Those markets are definitely in danger from time to time, especially the ones in Florida. But because there's enough snowbirds down there, and both those teams in Florida have won Stanley Cups in the past 10 years, that's been more beneficial for the growth of the NHL. So I would wonder that in some ways the NHL, and this is what my friend Steve would tell me, is Gary Bettman don't want the Canadian teams to win because he knows that market is solid and good and going to be supported no matter what. And it goes way further for them financially and growth-wise for the NHL for the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning and teams like that to win down there. It's bullshit, man. In some ways, that makes me hate the NHL because they don't want Canada to win because they know Canada is already in their pocket. They're good. And it's much more important for USA teams to win the Stanley Cup. In some ways, I hate that. 93, that's way too fucking long, Milbester. And the fact that we have 8 teams up here like that, right? We have 8 or 6, something like that. I think it's 8 or 6, something like that. Then none of them have won in over 30 years. That's fishy to me, and that spells exactly what I just described to you guys. Exactly right there. That's right. I'm not worried about teams leaving the States. In fact, I was very happy that the Atlanta Thrashers folded and became the Winnipeg Jets again. Yeah, who cares, man? Those teams shouldn't even be down there in some ways. It's like hockey trying to claim stake in territories that hockey is just not played because there ain't no snow or ice. This guy lived in Tallahassee. I never learned how to play hockey as a Canadian because I lived in Florida. And in some ways, it's not natural for people in Florida and Georgia to get all into hockey because they have no connection to that culture or that thing because it's not a regional sport in their area. So, man, there's a lot to this. I'm going to keep going. Trevor J saying classic card and Instagram stories. All right, let's do the Instagram stories. Since Trevor brought it up, we got Leo Routon saying this morning his words of wisdom. Always trust your instincts. They are messages from your soul. There you go, Leo. Loving Leo's words of wisdom this morning. Jamal Shed is saying hardest out. Y'all know where to shop. So I guess he's putting on blast Ladiki and Lost Character. Lost Character. I don't even know what they're selling. There's nothing on the screen, Jamal. There's nothing there. Scotty's getting put on blast by Jamal. Scotty posted some stuff yesterday. We're going to have to talk about real quick because some people are overreacting to it. Scotty was wearing a red jacket, a little bit like Michael Jackson, and Jamal Shed put the Michael Jackson song over it. And his caption is Pint of Red, and it's a red wine glass, and he's wearing a red jacket. And the pictures were taken in Toronto. You can tell from the street and the license plate and some of the pictures in there. He's on a dead end. It says no exit or something like that, or no way out or something like that. I think that's what it said. Something like that, right? Wasn't it? Let me go look at it again. It says on the sign behind him, it says do not enter. That's what it says. Do not enter. Well, listen, I don't think Scotty's trying to do anything crazy. Jamal Shed's putting it on there. The thing is that he made another post that we need to talk about. Manuel quickly is showing that he is in the gym working out. He may be laying down at the moment when he did, but it's at 5:30 in the morning, man. So Manuel's put in that early morning work in Hawaii because that's where he presently is. A lot of the Raptors in the last couple of days have been checking in on their gym workout. Chris Boucher, Scotty Barnes, Jamal Shed, Grady Dick, Emmanuel Quickly. They're showing that they're putting that work in for the fans. Also, Emmanuel went on a helicopter ride yesterday, flying around over the islands of Hawaii. It looks scary as hell to me because that's way high up, and it doesn't look like there's a floor on that helicopter. But Emmanuel's digging it, man. He's filming the nice, beautiful blue water and the islands and stuff. So very, very cool stuff. Emmanuel flying around in a helicopter yesterday. Lloyd is saying this today. Why not Lloyd? There is so much peace in knowing God will work it out for your good. Is he talking about Thunder? Is he talking about a Thunder championship coming up? He's saying that God will work it out for your good. There you go. All right, here's the controversial post from Scotty. He's in downtown Fort Lauderdale, the home of Trevor J. And it says, it basically says right here, clear skies, I love Florida. Now, he's just saying that he loves Florida. He's from Florida, but some people are trying to extrapolate from this. And specifically, there's a post on Reddit right now trying to work out deals for Scotty to Orlando or Miami because they want to help Scotty out. First of all, once again, people that are Scotty fans first and not Raptors fans first, y'all are idiots, and you're most likely from Florida. And in some ways, I want y'all to shut the fuck up. Listen. Nobody needs to be trying to make trades to help Scotty get to Orlando or Miami. In some ways, I don't even know if that's what he wants. In some ways, he's happy here. And just because he made a post about being happy about clear skies in Fort Lauderdale yesterday doesn't mean he wants to go play for a Florida team, idiot, on Reddit. If that's your first reaction and that's the first thing you're trying to put out there, man, you are not a Raptors fan. And I want to bitch slap you if I knew you in real life. I'm serious. I would come up to you and bitch slap you like DeMar bitch slapped that camera out of that guy's hand. Seriously, who are you and where are you coming from? Because you are not from Raptors Nation. Do you live in Canada? Do you live in Florida? Are you trying to organize something for Scotty? I don't see this, man. Because first of all, he's a franchise player. We built something really good with what he's got, and he likes it. There's nothing broke with what's going on here. He's not unhappy. So what if he posted clear skies in Florida? I love it. The skies in Canada have been very overcast and very difficult weather-wise most of this year so far. So in some ways, Scotty's liking the difference of being back home for a little while. And we got to say this also. Scotty Barnes has spent most of his offseason since he got drafted to the Raptors, most of his time in the summer around the team somewhere or in Toronto. And that's just the damn truth. He spent more time in his offseasons in Toronto than Vince Carter did when he played for us. So I'm just going to say this. Let it go. And whoever's putting this bullshit out here or taking this little string and trying to pull it somewhere, Scotty has made one post pro Florida as of yesterday in his whole entire career since he's been on the Raptors. So you're a little bit going overboard. I'm just saying, you're a little bit going overboard, and I wouldn't read into this too much. He's just happy to see good weather in Florida is what it is. Norman Powell celebrating somebody got graduated. It's his nephew. Proud uncle moment. His nephew has graduated from, what school is that? I can't tell. Lincoln. It's Lincoln High School probably. So, yeah, good stuff, Norman. You got a nephew just coming up, man. And he's got another kid. Who is this kid? This is like a really young kid. He's committed somewhere. That kid looks like he's 7. What did he commit to? Playing at the playground around the corner the other way than the other one? Like, what is this kid committing to? He looks like he's 8. Like, seriously, what is this, man? Season 1 finale, showcase your skills, committed, Conrad Lee Jr. Okay, that's weird to me, man. They come and get them real young at this point. I guess Carter Lowry is on the horizon in the radar if this kid's getting committed to somewhere. That's crazy. SGA is holding up the trophy there. What trophy is that? Is that the trophy for winning? Oh, that's the MVP trophy. That's beautiful, man. I love seeing him holding the MVP trophy. Love to see it. He's saying this in the caption, on the hunt for more. I just need like 4 more. There you go. He's always putting little raps in his captions on Instagram. Jacoby is lifting, and he's looking a lot stronger, man. I'm telling you, there's some good bicep mass on Jacoby Walter that's different, and I like to see it. So he's putting in that work. Let's see what else. He's been working out. He's got a picture of a cat. That's cool. I like that cat picture. And he got some stuff from Six Soldiers USA. Interesting stuff there. Toronto Tempo president speaking to the crowd, hyping up her team coming next year. I love it. Let's see what else was there on that clip. That's that. Slim Duck is playing. He's playing Adele, "Rolling in the Deep" on his Instagram story, and he's doing this little ritual he does before the game when they're in the lines for the anthems. He does kind of like a little prayer thing and like an energy thing where he's holding up his hands and stuff. He's also saying you get tested the most when you truly are trying to change. Man, I know Chris is probably in a weird place right now, and he's going through it a little bit with the uncertainty of his free agency status this summer. Hopefully everything works out for the best, and he's still in the Raptor red next year. That's what I'd like to see. He's playing Mario Party now a lot on his Switch. So I think that you might be able to find Chris Boucher on Mario Party. I think that's a game that came out recently that everybody's into right now. It's very hot. So Chris is in that. He's into it right now. So maybe you could see him on Mario Party somewhere. He's putting Lou Getz on blast. Heavy. His friend from Montreal showing the defensive clip of his resume and what he does as a defender. He's not even that tall a guy, man, but Lou Getz is so crazy on defense. And he has that clip where Charles Barkley says it's a travesty that Lou Getz-Dort has not been on an all-defensive team. Well, that is until this year. He's first team all-defensive finally. And that was an oversight. And in some ways, when you hear that Lou Getz-Dort got his first all-defensive team this year, you're like, yeah, defensive team is stupid. They have not been picking this thing right for a long, long time. And half the guys that get it all the time, I don't. I think the NBA could do a better job picking their all-defensive teams. They've just done a really bad job overlooking people for too long. And OG is one of them. They overlooked Scott this year, too. So let's see. What else? Chris has got this funny clip of this guy dancing in the kitchen, and he's saying, that's for sure me. The kid looks like he could be young Chris. And his moves are crazy, man. I'm not going to lie. His moves are absolutely batshit crazy. But, yeah, there's Chris working out just 17 hours ago last night, putting in that off-season work. We see all the diversity of the different workouts he's putting in right now, the reps. Good stuff. Toronto Tempo went and visited with the Toronto Raptors, the professional women's hockey team for Toronto, and they were testing them on whether they could palm the basketball. It's a skill that can be difficult, but it's true. You got to get it on the black areas of the ball. This is a very full ball, and I haven't tried to palm it in a very long time, but they were palming it out there pretty good. Some of the ladies of the Raptors, but a lot of them couldn't, and they were saying, I have baby hands. I can't do it. This is so crazy. But it's kind of cool to see the ladies trying to palm WNBA basketball. It's very, very cool. Let's see what else we got. AJ Lawson's got a nice picture of him smiling at the OVO Center, putting in that work, and he's also got anything is possible with me, and that's God sending him the message. Oshai Abaji has an event coming up on Saturday, July the 26th at 7 p.m. in Kansas. It is for Legends Celebrity Softball Showdown. So he's going to be playing some softball, I guess, with the Kansas City Monarchs. It'll be Abaji and friends. There'll be a DJ performance, and all the proceeds go towards his foundation, Young Abaji Foundation. And yeah, it's a star-studded charity event. We'll bring together KU legends, professional athletes, and celebrities for a fun-filled game with all ticket proceeds going towards their charitable foundations. So I wonder, I'll bet you Grady might show up and take part in this softball game. Since Grady is a multi-sport athlete, he played some baseball. So there's going to be a celebrity Kansas University softball game, and Osh is a part of it. It's July the 26th. Coach Andrew Jones still putting his wife on blast for Supermom contest. And Jonathan Mobo is saying, welcome to the fam, to Toronto's Toronto player Xavier, who's joined Serious Players Only Footwear, the company that Jonathan's a part of. So they got a young kid from Toronto that signed on as the latest kid. He's going to go to Florida for college. He's going to be playing for the Gators next year. So there's another person added to the Serious Players Only family, along with Jonathan. That's good stuff. They're growing. That's good stuff. All right, there's the Instagram stories. Lots going on there. The controversy with Scotty's post about the clear skies in Fort Lauderdale is stupid. Let the man just say, hey, it's nice and blue skies down here in Florida. And don't read further into this, Raptors fans. Seriously. In some ways, y'all are your own worst enemy when you put that energy out with your bullshit. Seriously, just stop, Reddit. In some ways, Reddit's really pissing me off right now. A lot of Raptors Reddit right now is just a lot of unsettled idiots that want movement. And I don't get this. Like, some people tweet on Blue Skies and Twitter that they are ready for another summer of disappointment from the Raptors front office because they didn't make enough moves. Once again, fans that are fans of trades and free agency and moves and just news about transactions, you're idiots. First of all, you're idiots. If that's the joy you get from the NBA is the transactions like Luka going to Lakers and stuff, you guys are idiots and you're watching the sport for the wrong reason. Everybody who just cares about transactions and stuff like that, why don't you just go fucking play your video game or go do some fantasy sports like we do? If you really have that kick for that. Real world is different. You live in fantasy. And stop trying to put your fantasies on the real world and what the Raptors are trying to build with a franchise. Your fantasies about trading this, trading that, trading RJ, doing this, doing that are stupid. Y'all need to shut the fuck up and stop with all this. We got the right people in the car. We need to keep driving down the road with everybody. If the car has a problem with a flat, all of a sudden we'll get out and we'll change it, and somebody may be standing on the side of the road, and we'll keep going and we'll pick somebody else up. But right now, everybody in the car is supposed to be in the car with us. I guess I should call it a bus because there's a lot of people. That's right. It's a bus. They're on the bus with us still. That's what I'm saying. All right, let me keep going with what is going on right here. Yeah, let's see. I lost my place in the chat. Let me make sure I get back to where it was. It was with Trevor saying Instagram stories. James is saying demons are real. If there's good, there's evil also. You know what? I'm going to say this right now. Heaven and hell aren't real things. I mean, they are real things. They're not made up things. Heaven and hell happen on earth. Heaven and hell doesn't happen after you die. When you die, your spirit and your essence goes back in the world. Sure, it's energy, but you're not going somewhere and feeling like the burning pits of hell after you die. You're not going somewhere and feeling all the glory of God in heaven above. This may be controversial to some people right there. No, you're a biological entity that has lost its life, and you're just you're dead. I don't believe in the afterlife like people say. I believe that you can have the afterlife on earth. You can have heaven and hell right here. And it's all about your attitude. People live in hell in this earth every single day. And some of them are in hell because of evil people like Donald Trump. And you could be in heaven on earth too. So I say don't even. It's not about death. Heaven and hell are here on this planet already. Now you talking about demons? Demons are in human form. That's what I would say. Demons, spiritual energy, sure, that energy can manifest and be weird places. If there's an unsettled entity that doesn't get to go somewhere else and it's trapped in chains to a certain particular location, that can manifest as a spirit that's in that particular site. That is absolutely true because there is a certain level of energy in that kind of way. But seriously, that may be controversial to some people. That may have turned some people off what I'm saying about heaven and hell. I don't know for sure. There could be what y'all believe, some of y'all. But I think as a scientist in a clear-cut way, it's biology. And that, energy transfers when you die, your spirit and your essence goes somewhere. But I don't know if it goes all the way up the pearly gates or something like that. I think it just stays around in the ether and around the world and just changes its form as energy, But once again, anyway, that was a weird tangent right there. Yeah, demons are people. There's absolutely demons in this world, and they're manifested in human bodies that make very evil decisions. That's what it is right there. Wayne's saying, ditto that, James. If God exists, so does evil. According to the Bible, Jesus was tempted by the devil. The offer from the devil was kingdom of the world, which means evil owns possessions on earth. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go too much in this tangent because in some ways I'm not knowledgeable on it, and maybe I'm talking out my ass. But I come at it from a very scientific approach and not totally from a theological approach. But I do believe that there's a lot of scientific stuff that we do not understand about energy and matter and spiritual energy that is involved in this and is very real and is not pseudoscience. Is absolutely, it's just science that we have not totally discovered and understand, is what I'm saying. Yeah. Yeah. James is saying, Lex, what do you think of the rumors of Durant to the Wolves in the offseason? That might not be a bad move for both sides. I mean, the Wolves are in a weird place where it doesn't matter what they do. In some ways, they could try something new, especially if they're getting rid of Rudy Gobert for Kevin Durant. That would be amazing. They might be able to do something good with this. It may be good for Kevin, too. I mean, in some ways, I don't know. Kevin Durant, once again, I'll stand on this, that he's going to get in the way of whatever team he goes to be successful. In some ways, it doesn't matter with Minnesota. Who cares if they're successful or not? So go ahead and go to Minnesota. I don't know. That's a weird one. That's a weird fit, man. That's a weird fit. You guys are saying 100%, man. I mean, the duality of good and evil, I get what you're saying. Without the Joker, there's no Batman. But also, I don't want to give credence and power to something like evil or a demon and saying that, in some ways you banish it, you sage your life, you do blessings, you walk with Christ. You can do things to safeguard yourself from the evil in the world. A lot of it has to do with your own choices and the life you live. If you're living a right life, then you're safe from it too. Yeah, there's a lot to this, man. This is a very heavy subject. And it's very, very deep in some ways. I don't want to offend people. My own personal beliefs are my own, and they're not necessarily the beliefs of all the Raptor freaks here. I know this. Yeah. And once again, you guys got to remember, I'm classically not going to church my whole entire life. I found spirituality and belief in Christ more through you guys ever in my life. Seriously. You guys have been role models for me, along with the players, Randolph, Trevor, and, Emmanuel. And Scotty and Grady, their belief in Christ and the power they find through Jesus has been inspiring to me and has made me more, religious thinking ever in my life. I've been very secular and very agnostic most of my entire life. So, but I see the power in Christ in individuals like Randolph Phillips and Trevor J and Emmanuel Quickly. And it's inspired me to look at it more in a serious way and actually allow for more belief in my own personal life. But I'm not like some of you guys have been going to church your whole entire lives, and it's just a very part of your character and just who you are. And it's not how I am. I come from a totally different kind of thing. I maybe went to Sunday school for a week when I was a kid, and then we never went again. And that's about it. I've never read the Bible. I'm not familiar with a lot of that stuff. In some ways, it's partly because I'm a very science person. But I feel like there's a ability to have that part in your life. I'm learning more and more because it is very helpful. And I see it in the achievement of people like Emmanuel Quickly. I see it. Yeah, it's Canada for the Cup. That's right. We want to win that Stanley Cup. Screw the Panthers. Milbester, we're not rooting with you, man. I'm sorry. Yeah, Fiercely saying, I don't watch hockey, but still rooting for Canada. That's right. That's what I'm feeling right there. Tristan Trey is here. Good to see Tristan Trey. Thank you for supporting the channel. I got the Pacers. They've been playing deep all year, and the Knicks just started. Now, would you pick the Pacers over the Thunder? That's the thing, man, because some people are saying the Pacers don't have any weaknesses because of their depth and their egalitarian, equal kind of play. That in some ways, well, what about the Thunder? Do they have any weaknesses? What's going to happen when those two teams meet each other, hopefully in the finals? That that matchup would be very interesting to see how the two coaches and all the players figure out the weaknesses and trying to get a mismatch or this against the other team and what happens on the court. And I'm thinking more and more about it. I think I might try and watch the finals, guys. I don't know, though. I'm still like, I thought about watching last night, but then it was like, you know what? I want to pay attention to playing Scrabble with my dad. I don't want to have my eye on the TV trying to watch the game. I want to play Scrabble with my dad while he's up here in Toronto right now. So Wayne's saying the Pacers still play with Pascal. As a side note, Rick Carlisle still doesn't use Pascal the right way. As Charles Barkley keeps saying, they don't run any plays for this guy, and he still produces. It's sick. Yeah. I would say, Siakam, this could be a switch up that Carlisle could be holding as an ace up his sleeve. Let's think about this. If he reverted to more of like a Raptors offense from a couple years ago with Siakam getting fed the ball a lot, that might throw things off for what New York's been doing. It may mess up the whole system of the offense for Indiana if they dote on Siakam too much and say go one-on-one and just beat guys. And maybe New York will be able to trap him easier. I think that part of the reason why they don't run plays for Siakam is because he's so good at finding shots in the moment spontaneously and making them happen. In some ways, you can't predict that. In some ways, when we were using Siakam and just throwing him the ball in the post and letting him try and beat people one-on-one, that's very predictable. So I don't know if this is a good change, is trying to feed the ball to Siakam. And letting him play off the ball has actually been very fruitful. He's producing. And if they did try and feed him, they might be too predictable, and New York knows how to stop them easier. So I think that's part of it right there. Kareem saying, what is worse, Reddit or Twitter? Right now, I'm going to say it's still Twitter. Reddit used to be worse than Twitter. Twitter was actually pretty good before Elon bought it as far as reliable for truth and being a very good source of information. In fact, I looked at Twitter as like kind of the telegraph that would come shams Woj and they I could depend on this. And then on the parody sites came after Elon bought it, and it got confused and just really reckless with misinformation, disinformation, and just straight up misleading people. And racism and all kinds of stuff. They called it freedom of speech. Well, I call it freedom to make people stupider with racism and hate and misinformation and misleading people. So at this point, Twitter is an absolute cesspool of nothing really redeemable. Any bona fide journalist that's still using Twitter to try and put their message out, how do you do that and not hurt your credibility? Because honestly, that whole site is just credibly not good at this point. Reddit historically was that. Now they kind of flipped. Now Reddit still has those aspects that have been bad about Reddit, but there's a lot more voices of reason that make sense on Reddit than on Twitter to me. And I would say that Reddit is way better than Twitter at this point, because Twitter has just been destroyed by Musk. He absolutely destroyed that site for credibility. And Reddit has more credibility at this point. Honestly, it's kind of crazy. Trevor's saying, be careful to what people say. They will do damn shit to get your reaction to their damn shit. We got another word of wisdom here, just out in the blue, in the middle of it here. Okay. I mean, it is what it is. Do your thing, and but look out. That's what I say. Randolph say, Lex, Rockets reportedly expected to look into trading number 10 pick amid NBA draft rumors. Is there an opportunity for the Raptors to get 2 top picks in this draft? Obviously, yeah. I could say yes, but I don't know if that's actually realistic or possible with what Bobby and Messiah are wanting to do. Once again, this is like a very random speculation that it's not really worth looking into, because it's like, well, we could say the Raptors are speculated to trade for the number 1 pick with Dallas somehow, or the Raptors are expected to trade down and go to the 15th pick, or the Raptors are going to trade their 9th pick and get the 20th pick and the 16th. I mean, we get so many permutations, Randolph. What's the point of it? All we got right now is the 9th pick and the 39th pick. That's all we can go on. If they do a move, then we react to it afterwards, because there's so many different things that they could do. I don't expect them to do anything. I really don't. I don't expect them to trade anything, and just they sit on what they're doing and they just do it. Now, if they have a plan that makes sense, I trust them. They're going to go execute it. They switch draft picks around. Go Bobby Masai. Do your thing. I won't second guess you until I see failure down the road, and I won't probably, because quite often most of what they do turns up into be success and not failure. So, yeah, I don't even know how to handle this. I could speculate anything could happen in this draft, but I'm going to just say we're picking 9 and 39 because that's what it is right now. That's right. Wayne saying Norman Powell. Hang on. Let's see. Norman Powell has company with the Thompson twins, stating they will be playing for Jamaica. That's awesome. Don't know who's the coach. He better be good. Don't see them listening to just anyone. I like that the Thompson twins have committed to play for Jamaica also, and I'd like to see Scott follow suit, especially if USA snubs him. Seriously, if they snub Scotty for the next cycle going towards the Olympics, Scotty, go and play for your dad's home country. Seriously, go play for Jamaica. You can do that easily, and in some ways, it may be that you go there and you do certain things for Jamaica all of a sudden, and you get a name for yourself because you made Jamaica into a world power all of a sudden in basketball. Especially if you're gonna have playoff Powell and the Thompson twins next to you on that court, that could be a lot of fun, and you could get that FIBA experience without even having to be on Team USA. So I'd say, Scott, you might want to strongly consider this, man. Strongly consider this. That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I think about that is, yeah. Kareem saying, question, who's the best son of a former NBA player who plays or has played basketball? Well, there's some sons that are better than their father, and Steph Curry is that guy. That's it. It's easy. Stephon Curry is the greatest offspring of a former player, and he's far exceeded his father. And his father was an okay player. He was a starter, and but Steph Curry is the answer right there. Speaking of sons of players, you guys ever think about where Sharif O'Neal went? You remember Shaq's son, Sharif, came in the league for a second. He was in G League. We got hurt, and he got hurt pretty bad. And Shaq has basically told his son, I don't want you playing the NBA or trying to play basketball anymore. You're with Reebok now, because Shaq got him a job as an executive with Reebok. And he said, nah, but Sharif is healed up, and he's now trying to tell his dad, I'd like to play. I'd like to try and come back and play still. And Shaq's like, no, don't do it, son. You're going to screw up your executive career with Reebok right now. And I helped set you up with that, and you're good. You don't need to play. But Sharif O'Neal wants to come back and reclaim his basketball career. Man, it's crazy. They're a little bit at odds over this. And in some ways, some are speculating that Sharif O'Neal may disregard his father's wishes and just do it anyway. Wow, that's interesting stuff right there. That's interesting stuff. Kareem saying, what are the stipulations to play for Jamaica? I'm pretty sure like 30% of the NBA have roots to Jam Rock. Well, it's lineage stuff. It's just like any of the, it's the same rules for all the FIBA, right? And, we've got all kinds of weird linkages and stuff like that. Remember, there's also the rule where you can get one player and naturalize them just out of the blue, Jordan with Rondé Hollis Jefferson. Think about that. Rondé Hollis Jefferson ain't got nothing to do with the country of Jordan, but they could have one special player. It's like there's one American guy on the Japanese team with Yuta Watanabe. So it's like Jamaica could have mostly guys who can show a connection in their family lineage to that country. They can be on that team. And Scotty's got that easy. Scotty's got that easy. Like me, my family comes from Estonia. I've never lived in Estonia. I'm not an Estonian citizen, but I could probably play for a team Estonia if it really was like that. Not that I'm good or they'd want me, but I'm just saying because I could show a direct lineage in my family history to the country of Estonia, that if, I was a very good basketball player at a high level, I could probably go play for them, even though I never lived there. I was born in Canada and grew up in the United States, but I could play for Estonia just because I could show a direct linkage through my father's side of the family. So Scotty could probably do the same thing with Jamaica easily. I mean, if the Thompsons are doing it and Norman is doing it, Norman's not from Jamaica. He's from San Diego. So if he can do it, Scotty can do it. I'm just saying he could do it. CH is saying shit. That's a funny comment. Thank you for subscribing, CH. Every morning, we're talking daily Raptors news and notes and reactions. Every single morning at 9:30 a.m. If you want a Raptors talk fix in the middle of summer, when a lot of sports people are ignoring the Raptors, they may be talking about the NBA playoffs. They may be talking about NHL. They may be talking about baseball. They may be talking about everything but the Raptors because they're not relevant at this time, right this moment. We are. And we will give you that fix. And every single day of the year, 365 days a year, this streak has gone for almost 1,500 days. Yeah, almost 4 years I've done this stream every single morning. The outlet for positive Raptors fans who want to see more Larry O'Briens coming to our franchise. And we are sick of the toxic noise around Raptors Nation that is not good for the team and helping it. We are doing the antidote. And we're trying to come from the other side and prop up the team and talk it right and put out the right propaganda for the Raptors to go in the right direction. I feel like we've been very successful because our team, in some ways, has sailed through rough seas of Tampa and pandemics, and we are better for it still at this point right now going into next season. I can't believe some people on Reddit are saying we're not that good. They're casuals. They're not paying close enough attention, and they do not value Brandon Ingram on the level that he actually is and do not understand what he's going to add to things next year. So that'll be the wake-up call, not just for the rest of the league and the media that covers the NBA about the Raptors rising up next season. I see it already. It's going to be a wake-up call for some of the people in our own fan nation because they don't even believe in the Raptors. You're idiots that don't believe in our Raptors being a playoff team next year. You're absolute idiots is what I say to them. Yeah, Kareem's saying, Lex, you should just pray. Doesn't need to be dedicated to any higher power specifically. The right person will answer your prayers. That is a great word of wisdom right here from our slam dunk champion, Kareem Thomas. That is a great word of wisdom. I have been, you know what? I have been, especially with the world events that have been going on right now and how dismal some things look. I have definitely been praying to a higher power to bring sanity into this world, to right the wrongs and make things better and continue to go forward in the world in progress. Thank you for this advice, Kareem. And you're right. You're right. This is what they taught me in AA early in my getting sober when I was very, around 2010. My sponsor said, you don't have to believe in God to pray, man. You can just pray to whatever's out there. And this is echoing his sentiments to me from like 15 years ago, Kareem. I appreciate this, man. I really do. Kareem saying energy is what makes this world secular. Yeah. I mean, it's weird, man. Energy is a real thing, man. Matter is a real thing. And what you put out in the world, it goes out into the world. And some of it is not tangible that you can hold in your hand. It could be words. That's why when you say things to plants, if you say nasty, negative things to plants, they'll wither. But if you say loving, nice things to them, they'll actually thrive because that's actual energy coming from you towards them. It's like animals can sense whether you're a threat or not by your energy. So why do some animals come up to people as they're no threat, but other people, they run in the other direction? Is because you put out energy and your energy can be felt by things other than humans around us. The animals and the trees feel us. They really do. They really, really do. James is saying, even if you're not religious, going to church helps build good habits and most times make good choices in life. Yeah. Yeah. And also you get good connections and you build more being a part of community. Yeah. I mean, I can see that being really good. I think it's just the problem is that a lot of people that are secular classically are turned off by the idea of organized religion because there's been a lot of people that have abused the idea of organized religion for their own selfish gains. And whether it's a TV televangelist who's enriching themselves with their mega church and all this stuff and poor people giving them all their money, or whether it's people trying to use fire and brimstone to scare people to motivate them to do things and think certain ways politically that they want to align them. I think that when you have a congregation that's all encompassing and all welcoming to all people of all walks of life and diversity and orientations, that is a real place of worship that is actually like what Jesus Christ would intend. But there's too often a lot of very weird organized religions that are very gatekeeping and very hateful and very much not a good force in this world. So it's like you got to find the right one. You got to find the right one, the right fit, and the right community. And I'm starting to kind of look around where I'm living now and maybe suss out if there is a place I'd like to go for this. But I haven't found it yet. I haven't found it yet, James. It's good advice. It's good advice, especially for connection and community and having learning more contacts and getting more kind of things going in your life. Yeah, going to church can help. Mel Bester saying, whatever happens Saturday night, if the Knicks lose, I'll be proud of them. I don't see them beating the Thunder anyway. They didn't even beat them in the Cavs, Celtics in regular season going 0-8. That's right. I forgot the Knicks had a very poor record against the very top teams in the league. Didn't win against any of them. Cleveland, Boston, and Oklahoma City. So, yeah, I mean, the whole thing is I could see the NBA wanting y'all to get to the finals over the Pacers because they really kind of do want to see the Knicks. I don't know if it's – well, it would have been better if Minnesota made it because then they could have done the Julius Cat trade like matchup. But, you know, I don't know. I mean, OKC against New York, is that matchup that interesting for any kind of personal things? No, I don't think there's any kind of like Hartenstein. That's it. Isaiah Hartenstein being the former Knick going to the Thunder. That's maybe really the only tie that's kind of like that with that, right? But I'm glad that you stand by your team and you're going to be proud of them no matter what. And it's true. This year has actually been one of the most successful years the Knicks have had since the 70s. This year. This is totally true. They've gotten pretty far. I mean, they've done their finals appearance in 94 against the Rockets with Ewing and Olajuwon. But, you know, other than that, the heights of where they've gotten to in the playoffs has not been to this level very often. Let's just say not since the days of Clyde and Pearl. That's what I'm saying right there. Yeah. Milbester saying Knicks should have made the Eastern Conference Finals last season if half our team wasn't hurt for that Pacers semifinal series, losing Game 7 at MSG and Dante's last game before we traded him and Randall for Cat. Yeah, there's trauma from that. And, man, you don't want to see that repeat, that rerun this year, just like the Leafs just did with their season. You don't want to see a rerun of last year, do you, Milbester? No. It'd be too painful. They got to Game 7 and they choked right at the end, and Tyrese is running around like this at the end of the game. Yeah, you don't want to see that, man. Let's see. Milbester saying Leon Rose has a lot of work to do this offseason to help the Knicks get to NBA Finals. If we lose Game 6, need to add more picks from what they lost in trades and fix the bench. It's funny because in that same article I was quoting earlier that I was talking about with Wayne, Kevin Pelleton says that they made a mistake when they added Mikal Bridges and they sold the farm and all those picks for him. And I said that when they did that. And now the experts who are touting that as such a great move are finally backtracking and coming around saying, yeah, they mortgaged their future just to add another Villanova player that in some ways is not totally necessary for their success. Honestly, guys, in some ways he's duplicitous with OG. And also, y'all just traded all your draft picks for this one dude. And that was stupid. And and that's what they called him out on. ESPN called him out for that and saying that they may be over traded when they got Mikal Bridges on their team. Seriously, it's very interesting. Let's see. Milbester's got a lot of comments here. He's kind of taking up the last part of here of the comments. We're over 2 hours, so I need to finish up. Let's see. Hang on. Wayne's saying not really to feed Pascal, but just to touch the ball. Many drives, Pascal doesn't touch the ball. They win with Pascal because he's always running. Push the ball, he's there. Other guys don't run. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think Siakam's doing fine with how they're doing it. And he's such a team player. I don't think he's upset. He's not going to be like a diva and say, you guys should be giving me the ball and touches more. No, he's an ultimate team player. And he understands that he'll do whatever Rick Carlisle asks him to do to help the Pacers have the best chance to win. And he trusts his coach because his coach has a record in his career that he should be a trusted coach. He does know what he's doing. So, I mean, that's the way I would look at it if I was Siakam. It's like, you know, Coach Carlisle is the coach. He has the vision of all this. In some ways, I know I could do other stuff to help them, but they're not asking me to do it right now. And in some ways, this is what they want me to do. Who knows? I would hold out that, you know, especially if the Pacers get to the finals, maybe not in the next game, they may start having to do some stuff more with Siakam in different ways just to freshen things up. And maybe that's a card up their sleeve that they may use at some point, because it is helpful for helping them to win. So that may be part of it right there, I think. Milbester's saying, especially with Brunson in his prime, and we have Hart with Bridges, we had more depth last season, and there's lots of bench questions. Yeah, I don't care about y'all's restructuring or Leon Rose, any of that bullshit. I'm going to skip this shit right here. I'm skipping the Dante stuff too. Wayne saying the stipulation is lineage from parents or grandparents, just like the football soccer team is filled with English-born players through lineage. Yeah, it's lineage. If you can directly show that your father lived in Jamaica, Scotty, or is of a Jamaican descent, and that you have his blood and you are in that same lineage, you can go play for Jamaica. And I want them to do it. Seriously, if the USA's ain't going to do it right, I know maybe your agent will say, no, you shouldn't do the Jamaica thing because you may never make Team USA. Well, are the Thompson twins worried about this? No, they're not. And Norman knows he's going to get snubbed forever, and he would never make Team USA. So he's definitely going to Team Jamaica. But Scotty, it is a concern that he should possibly think about if he does commit to Team Jamaica, that he may not be able to be on USA in the future or something like that. I don't know. I mean, look at Cat. Cat's on Dominican, Scott. Look at Aiton. He's on Bahamas. You could do this, and it's not going to be a big deal. There's a lot of big name guys taking these teams that are from the islands and taking them to new places and making a name for themselves. In some ways, I have more respect for Anthony Towns for what he's done for Dominican Republic than what he's ever done in the NBA. Seriously, because he's brought that country up into FIBA world rankings solely himself, by himself. There's nobody else on that team that's bringing up Dominican Republic up the ranks. And I know that Milbester will agree with me because he knows, as a Dominican man himself, and he's paid attention, that the Cat has elevated that country on the FIBA global rankings. And Scotty and Norman and the Thompson twins, what would they do with Jamaica? How fast would Jamaica rise up if all of a sudden there's an influx of NBA players playing for them all of a sudden? They could be starting to become like Canada. All of a sudden, it's like, holy shit, Canada's on his way, but all of a sudden, Jamaica's all of a sudden late horse in the race. And look at them coming. Seriously, it'd be crazy, man. It'd be crazy, yeah. Melbester saying Pacers and Thunder NBA Finals would be great for the league. I don't get why many fans all over the country saying it will be boring. Two teams going for their first title and are young and aggressive. Well, what we're finding, Milbester, is there's a lot of people in NBA Nation, Raptors Nation, Knicks Nation that are casuals. This is casual stuff. Casuals are people that surface level pay attention to the league. They just go by ESPN headlines. They go by stats. They may go by things that they just think because the NBA pushes these markets as more important or these players more important. So they just take it for granted and say that the NBA just believes this. So I believe it too, but it's not reality. And that's part of the problem, man. There's a lot of people putting out bullshit and trying to force it as reality when it's actually just perception from one person's point of view. And, the part of this is the NBA's own fault. They really did make a league of haves and have-nots. And they have teams that are the haves that they want to promote and put on blast and advertise. And they shun these other teams. And unfortunately, the Thunder and the Pacers are two of those teams that they shun or have-nots. And this is why the action is, oh, these playoffs are going to be boring. This was the same shit they said when Toronto made it to the finals. That nobody's going to watch the playoffs if Toronto's in the finals. It's elitist bullshit that is perpetuated by the NBA media machine. And honestly, it's the thing that shot their product in the foot and then has made the product go downhill because they watered down and talked down their own damn product themselves so that fans look down on it themselves. And that's the phenomenon right there. Casuals would think that, Milbester. So if you hear somebody saying, oh, this finals are going to suck because the Pacers are playing the Thunder, they're casuals and they're idiots. And in some ways, they don't understand what good basketball is because the people that understand what good basketball is are saying that these playoffs have been one of the best playoffs ever, at least in recent times. That's for damn sure. That's for damn sure right there. There you go. Boom goes the dynamite. Mo's saying W stream, W vibes, go Raptors for life. Thank you, Mo. And I'll be so happy to see you in next week for your birthday party on June the 7th at the NBA restaurant, 5:30 p.m., Queens Quay, Toronto. Get down there and let's celebrate the amazing superfan Monique Lawrence. That's what I'm saying. I'll be so happy to see her. We've got such cool stuff for you. Adriana helped me get some gifts for you. And she's been showing me all this stuff that she got in the mail recently that we're giving to you. And I'm like, holy crap. We are going all out for Monique this year, Adrienne and I. We are. So we're going to be bringing the goods. It's going to be fun, man. Let's see. Smooth saying Scotty came up through USA basketball. Be interesting if that happens playing for Jamaica. Yeah, he has that path, and I know he has that goal, and he wants it. But there's a lot of bullshit out there that they're going to overlook him, partly because he plays for the Raptors. They're going to try and like poo-poo him. They're going to already dote on Paulo and put him in that spot a year after him coming in. And that's kind of bullshit, man. In some ways, I would say Banchero is not fully U.S. because he has roots in other countries and stuff like that. And in some ways, Scotty wants to be U.S. And he played for those junior teams, and he has a line to it. I don't remember Paulo playing for junior teams when he was younger. Why the hell is he on the Team USA stuff? Y'all invested in young Scott. And why the hell is he not on your Team USA rosters and select teams and stuff like that? I saw he came on that long list at one time, but he didn't make the team, did he? And y'all rue the day that you overlooked Scotty for this. I'm telling you right now. And y'all need to come correct with this and put him on a Team USA. If you don't, I say, Scott, go to Jamaica, man. Go to Jamaica and kick some ass. Hell, get naturalized for Canada and play for SGA. Yeah, play with SGA. That's what I'm saying right there. Kareem saying, so basically Jamaica should win the next 25 Olympic gold medals. We live in an era of trends. I won't be surprised if a lot more players jump on ship. Also, Scotty is pretty decent at rollerblading. According to Mobo, he's not. He busted his ass. Milbester saying Celtics Mavs finals last season was more boring because Dallas had no good chance. Yeah, we've gone over this. That's absolutely true. Kareem saying Jamaica had a bobsled team. Scotty may anchor their figure skating team. Now you're getting crazy. All right. You're getting crazy here. You're getting totally crazy. Milbester saying, Lex, the thing is that ABC will still air the NBA finals for another 11 years with the NBA TV deal. We have to wait to next decade after the next TV deal for NBC to air the finals. Man, that sucks. I hate that. I wish ESPN had nothing to do with the NBA, honestly, other than sports highlights on SportsCenter. I wish they didn't actually show the games. Seriously, they've been horrible, absolutely horrible. And you're talking about MLB there too. Wayne saying, Kareem, you're being disrespectful about figure skating. Jamaica is known for producing tons of athletes. Most talented in the West, dude. All right, there you go. I like that. All right, I got to the end of the chat. So let's do the classic card and then finish up all my tabs and get the heck out of here, man. I've been doing 3-hour streams lately. I guess it's because I missed time earlier this week, and we needed to make up that time. All right, this is a weird card once again. All right, let's see what you guys got on this one. Who is this player? Full name answer, please, only. Full name answer, and you will get the classic card. I'm going to say this is a 100-point card right now. So is his name on the sides too? Man, I might not be able to use these cards anymore because I feel like they're putting the name on the side on here too. All right, can you see it? I don't know if you can. Can you see who that is? DeAndre Hunter's right. Fiercey got it. Yeah, does that say it on the side there? No, it says Atlanta Hawks. Okay, so I don't have to cover up that. Yeah, it's DeAndre Hunter. These ticket cards are stupid, man. I kind of don't like them. Yeah, Fiercey's got it today, guys. DeAndre Hunter for 100 points. Of course, DeAndre's on Cleveland now. He got traded there this past season for I forget who he got traded for. But yeah, DeAndre Hunter of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Fiercey getting the classic card 2 out of the last 3 days. There you go. Fiercey Salsera showing up on classic card stats. Boom goes the dynamite. Straight goods on Canadian goods real quick, guys. I'm talking about Jimmy the Greek today. Not Jimmy the Greek, the idiot who said some racist stuff on an NFL game and got banned for life way long time ago. No, Jimmy the Greek is a chain here in Canada. And I've been kind of doing like ethnic food companies. Like I did Idu yesterday, and I've done Big Smoke Burger, which is owned by a man from the Middle East. And this is Jimmy the Greek. And Jimmy the Greek is from a guy named Jimmy, who's Greek here in Toronto. It's a quick service restaurant franchise serving Greek and Mediterranean cuisine. Yeah, pretty good. Jim Antonopoulos from Greece arrived in Toronto in 1963, and he started his company in 1985. And yeah, it's a Greek restaurant. Obviously, it's a chain. It's Canadian owned. Origins out of Toronto. Jimmy the Greek. So if you're going to eat some Greek cuisine and you want to make a Canadian company, Jimmy the Greek is a chain that you can go eat, and you're eating Canadian. So straight goods on Canadian goods, Greek Canadian goods, Jimmy the Greek. Much better than the old commentator that got booted off. Monday Night Football. That was way back then. Yeah. Hunter got hurt during the playoffs. Yeah, he did, didn't he? That's right. All right, let's do the wrap up. We were talking about the DeRozan Code today. This is something I've created in the last couple of days. You know, there's Mamba mentality. Well, we're going to have the DeRozan Code. And if you can get that code in you as a player, as a youngster, you might go further in your basketball career because you're using the DeRozan Code. It's not a cheat code. It's a work code because you can't cheat to do the DeRozan Code. That's part of what it is. It's the antithesis of cheating to get ahead and coast and be like Ben Simmons. No, the DeRozan Code is very hard work and going through the thick of it, right through the middle of it, and becoming stronger for it. And that is what the DeRozan Code is. It's about loyalty. It's about doing things right. It's about never settling and going for the next and getting better and better every day. And that's what the DeRozan Code is about. It has parts of Mamba mentality in it for sure, because Mamba mentality was a thing that was taught to DeMar very young by Kobe himself. So I'm telling you, man, let's bring this up. DeRozan Code. Does this guy have DeRozan Code? I don't think he does. This guy has DeRozan Code? Yeah, I want him. Let's draft him, Masai and Bobby. That's what I'm saying. Who has DeRozan Code in the 2025 draft? Let's suss that out. That's what I'm saying right now. Yeah, it was cool to do the DeRozan Code. Let's see. Mel's saying, I wonder what Warriors will be next season. And Curry and Draymond will be. It's going to be sad when Curry retires with LeBron. Yeah, this is not Raptors related. I don't care. I'm not going to bring this up at the end, Milbester. I don't care. Fiercely saying, Jimmy the Greek, very good, but they give too many potatoes. You know, sometimes restaurants will give that filler just a lot. You know, you may order some Swiss chalet on DoorDash, and you get your Swiss chalet, and the chicken's real small, and they just filled the hell out of it with fries. That's a trick by some people. That's right. Peanuts. Potatoes. They're potatoes. That's right. There you go. Well, too bad the Pacers couldn't finish the deal last night against the Knicks. Siakam getting stupid question at the end of the game was pretty funny. That was interesting. We got some WNBA games tonight. No NBA playoffs. So Connecticut is at Indiana Fever. The Liberty are at the Mystics. The Sparks will play the Aces. It's the Lynx versus the Mercury, and Atlanta Dream at Seattle Storm tonight. I would go over all the refs, but what's the point? There's all kinds of stuff going on there. So set your WNBA fantasy teams. If you are playing in our WNBA fantasy league, do not sleep on that. Yeah. All right. Let's see. What else do I got on here? Is there another tab I need to go over? There is a birthday today. This man was in the airport one day, and my wife was there when I was married. This is a long, long time ago, obviously. I was married 2007 to 2010. And she was at the airport at Pearson. She was flying back from Toronto to go to Tallahassee. And she was standing in line behind a tall 7-foot Slovenian Raptor named Rasho Nesterovic. And today is Rasho's birthday. We want to say happy 49th birthday to Rasho Nesterovic. That's right. Rasho is 49 years old, guys. That's how old Rasho Nesterovic is right now. He's an unheralded NBA center. In some ways, he had his best years with the Timberwolves, but he did come and play for the Raptors for a couple years. And we want to say happy birthday to Rasho this morning. There you go. Boom goes the dynamite. And that's it, y'all. I'm pretty much done with my stream. I appreciate everybody joining me today for 2.5 hours. And I appreciate it all, man. Seriously. Let's see. Mel Bester saying Siakam and Halliburton have had great series, Lex, but Maturin, that kid is going to be a good player. He plays hard and aggressive. He was hurt last season. Yep. And you guys were lucky he wasn't playing against y'all last year. But this year, and that kind of speaks to your point about saying all the Knicks were hurt last year. Well, there were people hurt on all sides in different teams. Maybe a little bit more of your guys and key guys, sure. But yeah, Mathurin was not available for Pacers, and that's true too. Yeah, he's a great player. He's Canadian, and we look forward to him putting on the Maple Leaf jersey for Canada in FIBA basketball more and more in the years to come, because he's like that. Let's just put it that way. The Haitian Benedict Mathurin. That's right. Fiercely saying, I was able to use the manage IR functionality, Lex. So thank you for explaining it. There you go. And there's Brian. What's up, Freak Nation? Dapped to the point. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, sports fans. You're here with Lex on the Raptor Freak channel and Brian from To The Point. King, how are you this morning, sir? I saw that you called me last night. I was very busy at that moment. I couldn't answer the phone. But if you would like to talk to me this afternoon, I may have a chance to be able to talk to you after this. So, Brian, dap to you, man. And on that note, let's get out of here, y'all. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, join the channel. If you join the channel, you get access to the call-in show, and to our Discord server and our Facebook group, so that you can talk to us during the day and you can see all the news that Monique and Trevor are posting, letting us all be on top of things. I highly recommend watching that Run Your Race podcast with DeMar that I'm talking about today. You will learn more about the DeRozan Code from that podcast, which inspired me to talk about it. So yeah, live your life with the DeRozan Code. That's right. In some ways, we can apply it to our own lives, not just an NBA player or a basketball player trying to make the NBA. So yeah, live your life with the DeRozan Code. Live with loyalty, live with gusto, live with sensitivity to others, and also live with a drive and a passion that never is abated. Let's go, Raptors. Let's go, Scotty. Let's go, everybody, and get those workouts in and come back next year and be a playoff team. Toronto Raptors. Let's go.